Both these guys are going to help out a ton as we start some family feud. We're going to switch over to the couch. We have two families playing to compete for the grand prize. We'll play through a few games and we'll get a brand new group of two families after that. I am not Steve Harvey, and I want you guys to know that. I'm going to do my best to be an impersonation and get through this game, and we'll take it from there. So bear with us. I hope this is a lot of fun for you, and I know it's going to be a lot of fun for me. So please check out the donation link as we have some stretch goals here, but I'll let these guys take it from there.
I'm sure.
I should upgrade my mic actually.
Yes.
Should I unmute this?
Awesome. Hey, stream fam. I can't see you yet, but I know you exist.
You gotta get your
toes on the
I mean, I take a puff.
What?
Take a look at
My toes on camera.
Already?
They like that shit.
Just undo the mute. No, you have to donate for that.
Mine are better.
Yep.
You should be good.
Just quick chat.
I think they have to turn the audio on there because they might have just
It's too small.
Sorry
I'll get
for
it.
my stupidity.
Yeah, but I'm gonna
On a
get
date,
him better
kinda
switches next
nervous.
time. I think you guys muted the.
What is your?
The Yeti was not physically muted.
This is the guy with the one. Wait, what's my
It's fine now. Thank you, Barry. Ross,
I'm someone who control that.
There's his
So
social media.
It's him. Oh, hi.
Same guy.
it's creepy.
Donate $50 and he'll show his food.
Just find them and block them.
Also, I changed the chat to low latency, so hopefully we won't be on a 20-second delay anymore. This will make it easier for me to figure out what happens when audio is wrong. So
Hello, I am
during the game, though,
5'9"
guys, I'm going to
and I
mute
weigh
myself so you can pay attention to the other stuff. So behave yourselves. I'll still be here.
So throw me around like
Taking out the trash.
Yep. Can you manhandle
Thanks.
me?
Every day we are doing 2 segments except for Sunday. There is no break.
Friend. I have a friend who sold pictures for armpit.
It's for a good cause, Barry.
We live in a very strange.
We started, but
He
go
asked for
ahead.
pictures of her
You
armpit,
gotta
and
pee,
she
gotta
was like,
pee.
"Right, pay me first, and I'll send you a picture of my armpit." So he actually paid her, so she had to send him a picture of her armpit.
They're talking trash. We need to talk. We asked 100 people. We need to do the first.
Oh, never mind.
And if it's on, if it's on that list, we get points. We get 3 strikes.
You can take it out.
And then they get
Just
it.
for my
They
hands.
get it. Or they get the answer. They get 1 answer.
yes, I can switch screens. Let me just
Times have you watched?
pull the chat over just a little bit further.
Such a great show.
That I'm surprised.
Yes. So really, I'm definitely more.
I don't know. In the choir, it's one
Can you
of my
mute them?
favorite classes.
Well,
He's
if
just
they
so-
get all of them,
No,
then
And dear.
Yes.
yeah, and some
Alright, guys, I'm going to mute myself.
it's not
Bear with
but
us.
if you feel like your team
And enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Should be a fun time.
Yeah. Which let's probably not go into Yeah, please. Never start right now. But if we get the chance to like amongst ourselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Family Feud. Big round of applause. Give it up for your host. Here, I'd like to get to know you guys a little bit more. What's your name, sir? My name sir, is leopard skinny quads.
Leopard Skinny Quads, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that. You and your lovely family here. You guys are an amazing bunch here. Who's the head of this family over here? Welcome, sir. What's your name?
What's our name as a team?
What's your name?
Kendrick
Kendrick. What's your last name?
Mitchell.
Oh, this is
Oh,
Bombers.
Kendrick Bombers. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's get the head of both families up here for our first round. So, letting everyone know on the screen what's going on here. We surveyed 100 people, and these guys are going to buzz in to see if they can answer first of this series of questions related to powerlifting. So we have 2 people related to powerlifting. All right.
Am I tapping?
You're going to tap my hand right here, okay? First answer. Hands behind your back to keep it fair for both of you guys. Okay. What do athletes do most when going off programs?
Eat.
Eat. Do they eat? It's okay. Sarah's working on it. She's got a ton of buttons to press over there. Hold that thought. We had it down a minute ago.
I think this is the most technical part of like the whole of it.
Then you get a chance. Yep. So,
Got it.
Body pants.
Did you just call me leopard skinny pants?
I said I got it.
It's leopard skinny quads.
I'm referenced to
Uncle Leopard skinny quads.
Not leopard spotty pants. Leopard skinny quads.
Oh my god.
We really are family here. We are so close.
top 7 answers are on the board. What do athletes do most when going off program?
Eat.
Eat. Show me eating. If it's wrong, you can exit with a Z.
So it's wrong. That's what you're trying to tell me.
All right, you guys get control of the court now.
No chance
Sorry,
to
Chance. Now you get to
Oh,
see if you
Kendrick.
can figure out.
Kendrick.
Kendrick. What do athletes do most when going off program?
Max out.
Do they max out? Okay. We're figuring it out little by little. Okay, what did you say your name was?
Leprechaun.
Leprechaun. What do athletes do most when going off program? We have max out and it will be on the board right now.
Quit.
Do they quit? Do athletes quit most when going off program? That is a no. Okay, we're going down the field here. What do athletes most do when going off program?
What is going for AMRAPs, Bryce?
Do they AMRAP? Do they go for an AMRAP? Do they YOLO lift?
I don't watch the show.
They blow it up and eat it.
Okay.
Take it.
I'm surprised that Sarah took
I got it.
Let's
Sorry.
wait until we see the
Not right, Kendrick.
All right, what's your name?
sunshine.
Sunshine. Tell me what athletes do when going off program. Thank you for being here.
They do other sports.
They do other sports. Do they do other sports when going off program? They bodybuild.
Art, it's not a sport. Bodybuilding is a sport.
This family is eating up this board. What's your name?
Consuela.
Tell me what athletes do most when going off program.
They skip their workout or training session.
They skip sessions. They skip sessions.
I want to know who these 2 people are that said
Judge here.
They're so specific though.
Yeah, they're way too specific.
Kendrick.
I'm being a little bit specific this time. And your name, sir?
Hobbs.
Hobbs. What do athletes do most when going off program?
They have an arm day.
Do they have an arm day? Do they have an arm day? Okay, we go back to the top of the order. Okay, until we get a third wrong answer, and then we switch sides for the steal.
2 strikes. They have 2 strikes. They have to be careful because the other side can steal.
You can steal. All right. Okay, we got this most from going off program. So it's you since you started.
Yeah. Have you opened?
Yeah, but I have no idea.
Oh, we're thinking.
All right.
Don't let them hear us though.
Yeah, everybody.
It's really hard because I
Do they do weightlifting?
Do.
They do weightlifting.
I feel like that's really not.
And we're going to team leopard partners.
Yeah, you gotta talk.
You guys get to talk as a group and come up with. Okay, what's your name, sir?
Superman.
Superman.
Yeah.
Tell me what athletes do most when going off program.
Get hurt.
They get hurt. They get injured. These are the.
That's not there.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's not intentional.
Post on his.
How?
A new family member up for each team. The next question.
I feel like I should have been.
All right, guys, hands behind your back here. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, we got the board up. We got the questions. There, you're doing a great job. All right. For the first question here, slap my hand if you know the answer. What's the most annoying thing a coach does at a meet? Sir. They're overbearing. They're overbearing. They're overbearing. They are overbearing. Is it on the board? Oh, you got to load the questions. Yep. Sorry.
So there's more.
Overbearing. Their coaches are overbearing.
Hey. I understand if you have an answer. I wouldn't see. All right. But you.
That means
But
my
good,
question.
I respect that. Good job.
Oh, that's not on the board. All right. So does it automatically go to this team then?
No.
He has to guess.
Yeah, he has to guess one on the
Okay.
board, and if he doesn't, he goes back to that.
Oh.
All right. What's the most annoying thing a coach does at a meet?
Let's talk to the referee.
Talk to the referee. Are they talking to the referee?
Kill
Okay. So we're going down. Say your name is Kendrick? Kendrick. What's the most annoying thing a coach does at a meet? Got all 8 answers here on the board.
They yell for death.
They yell for depth. They yell kills.
Oh.
It's all right.
It's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, you gotta think of it ahead of time.
The points for this round have been doubled
Why?
This one's
because we're figuring out the technology.
double because the game worked.
Yeah,
the second round.
Oh.
No, this thing.
Right.
I feel you guys. It is working perfect.
Okay.
Gino, you can replace Steve.
Sir, what's the most important thing a coach does at a meet?
Making mistakes.
They're making mistakes. Make mistakes with attempt selection. Are they making mistakes? No, sir.
Yes,
Do not make mistakes. Sir, what's the most annoying thing a coach does at a meet?
They guard the equipment in the warm-up.
Okay, they're a hawk for the equipment in the warm-up room. They're a hawk. Here it is. They're rude.
It's not even my name.
Suela.
It's not her name.
What's the most annoying thing a coach does at a meet?
They don't record your lifts.
They're not recording your shifts. They're dissing.
Can't record the coaches.
Oh,
They're dissing.
That's
All right. Sir, what's the most annoying thing a coach does at a meet?
yes. I was thinking. So they play favorites.
All right. Do they play favorites? Are they playing favorites with their athletes?
Danny, what you know?
Sorry. Correct. You guys have one more, and this team is Steel. Yes. That's on top of the order, sir. What's the most inspiring thing a coach does at a meet? Mistime the warm-ups. Very good. Yeah.
That's good.
We have it on the board. Mistime the warm-ups.
We get to
That's
huddle
a
together.
group now.
We get to huddle together.
Team Leopard gets to
I
huddle
like
up.
the thing.
They sandbag your
Like your 10.
All they need is
They missed putting it in. Yeah, screw up attempts.
We have an answer. We have an answer.
all right. Tell me what it is.
They screw the next attempt.
Yeah, they mess up the next attempt. They put in the wrong number.
Hey, more specific.
Oh, specific. Okay, they don't turn in the next attempt. Incorrect. This team gets it.
I swear.
All right, let's put the rest of the answers up on the board. Touch number 1, 2, 2 save.
Oh, actually, no, that's 2 saves.
Yeah.
2 saves. Putting in like numbers. I don't think there's any bias to all this.
That's if they're saving.
It's okay, we have 179 points. For sure.
Hey, Ricky, I think you're gonna be up.
Alright, we stay over here for the most part until it's in the center. Okay, let's get a new family member up here for the next round. Question number 3. Alright, yes. Hands behind your back.
You didn't ask their names.
Okay,
What are their names?
sir, what's your name?
Mr. Bud.
Mr. Pug. Rumpelstiltskin. Thank you guys for making this very hard on me to remember your names. Okay, first person to slap my hand gets the answer. What's the most common trait of a powerlifter in 2020?
They hit singles every week.
Singles every week. We have singles every week on the board. For the Instagram.
That was the most not-specific one.
Hey,
No,
it's okay.
Going in.
You can start that one.
It's true.
Hey.
Wait, repeat the question again.
No, it goes clear.
Yeah, okay. Miss, what's your name?
I am flexible.
Del bottom.
Thank you.
Lexi Delbottom. Thank you for joining. Question is, what's the most common trait of a powerlifter in 2020?
Headband.
Say it again.
Headband.
Headbands. Do the athletes have headbands in 2020? Is it on the board? Could be something to have, but it just might not be the top pick. Okay, we're going down the board a little bit. Miss Smith.
One lift queen.
One lift queen. Can you tell me what the most common trait of a powerlifter is in 2020?
SBD.
Do they do
Decked out
SBD?
in SBD.
Matching SBD? Got one. Sir, what's your name?
Mr. Doug Dimmadome.
Dome. I should have expected. What's the most common trait of a powerlifter in 2020?
Always getting hurt.
Are they injured? Are they constantly injured? No, that's 2 strikes. This team may get a chance to steal. We have one more. In 2020, what's the most common trait of a powerlifter? Sir.
We help them?
No.
Watch.
Most common trait, they are raw lifters.
They're raw lifters.
Oh.
They're raw lifting. Is that on the board? Oh! I surveyed
Gino's ready to throw hands. Hey.
Related the answers. This team now gets to talk amongst themselves to get a chance to steal.
I don't even know.
They're probably all raw lifters. Okay, did you guys come to a consensus?
We did.
Okay, what's the answer?
They used PE training.
RPE training in 2020.
What I learned.
Okay, so they get to last one then?
Now we just get some
You guys get 60 points now.
I swear.
Are you gonna shoot with the wrist star?
Chasing the jam.
Getting above.
How is sumo not on there?
Don't ask me. I think it's 100.
That's like 20.
Yeah.
Let me get the next family member up here for the next question.
Oh shit.
So we have now.
And then
We got plenty of time.
you can turn the mic up.
Okay. I'm gonna try switching this real quick to a different mode.
You want to change the volume here too?
So we're gonna make this 5 questions and bring it next team. This is the 4th question. All right. Highest number of points by the end of 5 questions. That team wins.
Gotta win these.
Okay. Hands behind. First, I have both your names. Okay, so we're gonna introduce. The question is, what's the most influential powerlifting programming theory in history? RPE. RPE. We see RPE on the board. It's on the board. It's the top answer.
I'm sorry, guys.
Okay. This team has control of the board. Consuela. No talking on yourselves. What's the most influential powerlifting programming?
I already know.
Powerlifting programming theory in history.
I don't know.
Consuela.
I thought they were supposed to talk.
Hey.
Hey, Kendrick.
No cheaters.
You guys
Cheaters.
cannot talk to each other.
Yeah, but you're
Doesn't
not supposed
matter.
to talk. No, that's cheating.
Liar.
Consuela, can you tell me what's the most influential powerlifting programming theory is in history?
Progressive overload.
Progressive overload. Good answer. Is it on the board? Okay, we're going down the line with our next
I know.
family member. Sir, what's the most influential powerlifting programming theory in history?
5x5.
Is it a 5 or 5? Set it. It's a 5. Absolutely.
Can you be more specific?
That counts. That's super.
That's right. No, that one runs. The 5.
Oh, but are turning in bad numbers.
You still got it, sir.
Low number's not a bad number.
History, assuming we already have 3 of the top answers here. Bulgarian. Is Bulgarian on the board? Every singles all the time. It's not on the board. No, sir. Okay, around Kendrick. What's the most influential powerlifting programming theory in history?
Higher frequency?
High frequency training. High frequency training. It is not on the board. Okay. Getting down to the wire here, where this team has a chance to steal. Sir, most influential powerlifting programming theory.
As much as I don't.
Whisper to him.
No,
Whisper to him. Listen to David.
Oh, let's wait for them to. Let's wait.
Let's say DP.
DUP. DUP on the board. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Hey, I think you should.
I swear.
Well, say that one.
Okay, give it to the team.
Yep.
You don't know. You don't.
Yes, I was. I didn't say I believe in it. Other people know about it. When Louis is on Joe Rogan, people know about Westside.
You guys still have control. Influential programming control.
This West Side was my next. Yeah.
Another. That one would be enough.
Chico. Jaco,
That's a good
Mr.
one.
Jaco himself. It's on the board.
Yes, it is. We needed to miss one.
Okay.
I got it,
Skyla,
guys. I'm like, come on, bro.
tell me what you got.
Hey, don't make eye contact. I saw that.
Yeah.
Team will get
Look at me. Hey, I'm the captain. Look at me.
Stop.
This could tie it up if you miss. And steal.
Hey, no talking. I don't care. You're talking.
They steal it.
We can steal it. Yeah. Everyone look at me. Well, you don't have to look at me. What's the triple? Hey,
Have a
Triple
name.
this round.
no, don't look at her.
Okay.
Is it smaller?
Damn it. Small. Oh. We got one.
You got it. You got it already. Yeah, tell me.
5-3-1.
No.
Good sport. Linear. I was literally thinking non-linear, but
No one has to know.
What is this?
Okay. And fitting, we have one more question. For two final family
I have to
members.
get
Okay.
I didn't think about it.
You don't need your feet for this.
Oh god. My feet are dead.
You don't.
There you go.
Me?
There you go. There you go.
Hello.
Okay. All right. You know how it goes. Back, hit my hand first to answer first. The question is, what are Eastern European powerlifting coaches most known for? Drinking. Is it drinking?
Eastern Europeans? I kind of agree.
You got. Hey,
Oh my god.
No, drinking.
Repeat the question.
Eastern
I'll just listen.
weekly singles. We're gonna have heavy singles.
That's a pretty good one, yeah.
European, Bulgarian. That's a hard one. I would
I
have.
heard all the JF drank a lot.
I'm just gonna stay here because it's hard.
No, we moved.
Down this again.
We gotta see.
Sir, what are Eastern European powerlifting coaches most known for?
Babies in the
corner.
Are they heavy smokers? Coaches heavy
Oh,
smokers.
so they're
Yeah.
chain smokers, but not drinkers.
Oh, maybe true, but it may not be at the top 8 most Sir, what are Eastern European coaches?
Higher frequency or training multiple.
He said it already.
Can I just? We'll do that one.
High frequency. They train high frequency.
They do. 'cause it-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's up there.
You're up.
Okay. Or get stacked, sir. Thank you. Are Eastern European powerlifting coaches most known for?
European.
Not tested or still.
Do they use steroids? You better
Boy.
Holy shit.
Okay, notice each other. Sir, another answer on the board. Eastern European powerlifting coaches, what are they most known for?
Watching their athletes a little too closely.
Okay, do they constantly?
They're creepy.
No, sir.
Okay, we gotta start
Okay.
thinking. European.
Gets a chance to
I don't know anything about
your
European
Bricks, you got anything?
And it seems that you're always on the line.
What do you think?
What are Eastern European
know.
powerlifting coaches?
What's number one?
Smoking, drinking.
We're all missing number one.
Cheating.
We only have one chance to miss.
Smoking.
Hold on, let's wait. What did they say?
Not testing.
I don't think.
You only get
Well, hold
4
on.
seconds. You get 4 seconds to make it.
That's not really frequently.
Do they go heavy very frequently?
Scientists. Oh, it already says heavy singles.
Let's heavy singles and high frequency.
Heavy singles is an answer.
So that's all.
That's next.
That's the next.
I think it's next. Yep.
All right.
Cheating.
For the steal. Cheating. You guys get only one chance here.
Let's do it.
Cheating.
Yeah.
Talk to
You got one.
You can talk to
Question.
Crazy eyes.
I'm gonna tell you the rules.
Please, by the way, guys, we have a $1,000 donation for someone to shave this. It's rough right here.
Holy
Please
shit.
get that done.
Okay, we have an answer.
Get your friends.
Okay, what's the answer, sir?
Alex,
Steve?
Steve Harvey. Our team has decided to go with, by the way, the name of our team is Thick Thighs.
Big guys. Big guys.
We have decided to go with cheating.
Cheating. Look at that cheaters.
Oh, yeah, that's already on there. That's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You guys get the points. And the win.
Oh.
What? Ruthlessness.
Ruthlessness is a form of cheating.
The game's over.
Athletes and full length.
A more
I apologize for all of our Eastern years.
Please stay on the screen and give us money. Rob, fine. His voice is speaking. Come on.
All right, guys, let's see the round.
Oh,
Sorry, guys.
we made a good effort. We made a good effort. It's fine.
When I get
Yeah. So stay on.
Stay on. Sorry, it's okay to get up.
Yeah. So,
That was
good job, team. We give it a good run.
Good someone lose some.
Good job. Good job.
Good guys. Hey man, you should have been more specific about your answer.
You. What about you guys? Be more specific. That's good, but a few bites. So
Hello, hello. Athlete Solutions, audio switching. Gonna mute the Yeti real quick. All right. There is another game we have going. Is the camera on? Camera doesn't look on. Sorry. Couple of technical difficulties. There's more people down here than we've had the rest of the night. Where the frick is it? There it is. Overview. Sarah, can you hit that transition button with the mouse, please? Awesome. We're back. Hi, friends. I'm going to make the announcement to my parents, match that $200 donation for the haircut. So it's shorter now. Hope you're happy. The full. You can see my ears again for the first time in 6 months. I'm surprised you didn't get a mullet. You're surprised? I'm going to borrow this from you. Okay. So sorry about the screw up so family. Don't you dare apologize. Don't you dare apologize. You did great. Anyone else would have done worse. I'm convinced. I need to find the chat. Yes, the haircut did happen. Careful with the camera. Careful with the camera. Please don't kick the camera. Oh my gosh. It's a disaster piece out here. You guys don't understand what we're going through. So we're trying to get the next game started. These hooligans will go sit down on the couch. We've got 6 there right now. Yeah, we're gonna be shifting you guys back over there. Our new players are Chloe Dublin, Penny Josarelli, Eric Lapointe. I don't know if your microphone is broadcasting. Can you guys hear her from her microphone? Are you unmuted in your? Just making sure. Someone quickly tell me that you can hear her. Her mic is down. That's what I thought. Here, you take mine. We're about to. Okay. Well, I want you to be here. Use the microphone part, so you can introduce everyone. Because I'll do bad.
Oh, I can actually hear myself now.
That'll help.
Okay, yeah. So we've got some new players. It looks like Ellis is joining us. Eric Lapointe, Hanny. Natalie's handing out treats.
What are those?
Chloe Dublin.
I'm gonna figure this out.
Marsalius Williams. Chance is back. There we go.
There,
Kind
now
of.
We're here and we can see them.
Perfect.
And Bryce's juicy booty. Okay, grab a cookie and sit back down, guys.
Chrissy's back. Gino's back. We are Sarah.
Well, now
The other Sarah.
I'm gonna get rid of that so you have access to things. Yes, please. Do you want a cookie? What?
Pumpkin
Yes.
Oreo?
Pumpkin Oreo or pumpkin Oreo? Yes. Also,
Chocolate
yeah,
chip.
both, please. We're ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Huh? I'm gonna explain to them first. Do you want us to turn the mic on for that? Turn the mic off. I turned the mic off. I'll keep it off.
Okay.
Let us know when you want it.
Natalie asked us if we wanted chocolate chip cookies or
Pumpkin Oreo.
pumpkin Oreo cookies.
We're gonna find out what that means.
Did you get a pumpkin Oreo?
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Show them. This is important.
Well, you touch yours.
I'll touch
I don't want
Okay. So she's got. I'm assuming that's chocolate.
chocolate
chip. I'm
Oreo
assuming this is pumpkin Oreo.
or chocolate chip. I'm confused now.
Did you want one of each?
No.
You didn't want one of each? You just want one? Do I get 3? Works for me. I'm not complaining.
Ben wants fruit ice cream. Sarah, don't.
Jordan, I will
Isn't that
unmod and ban you, you little turd nugget. Don't you get sassy in the chat.
is fruit ice cream just sherbet?
I'll explain to you
Okay.
sometime why it's awful and no one should ever eat it.
You know, so like no strawberry ice cream.
When people add strawberries into ice cream, it's fine. But I refuse to believe that anybody's favorite ice cream is a derivative of a fruit flavor.
Like a strawberry base.
Why wouldn't you just eat strawberries? If you want something that tastes like strawberries, or you want something that tastes like fruit, why wouldn't you eat fruit? Why would you eat ice cream? So then you don't get the nutritional value of it being fruit, and you also don't get the enjoyment of it being some sort of like chocolate. You're laughing.
So
You
this
know
is
it's 100% true.
well, no, I'm just like clearly this is it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's almost like
Tea berry ice cream.
that doesn't exist. I'm gonna fight I will remember who you are. I see your username. You know I see your username. I will find you in a video game. In a video game in Minecraft. I will.
Okay,
Good
we're
to
gonna
go.
switch back.
All right, we're gonna switch the audio.
I'm gonna eat
and we're
this
gonna
cookie
go away,
off
and Sarah's
cam.
gonna continue doing amazing on giving them the answers. And if anybody gets sassy, you're getting hugged to sleep.
And that's on period.
That's.
I don't know how to turn my. Okay.
And Alexi.
There it is.
There's two new families up here to play the game. With a few new questions on the board, 2 new families. I'd like to know a little bit more about you guys. Sir, what's your name?
My name is Sergey. This is Smolov family.
Sergey, the Smolov family, welcome to you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, on this side, what's your name?
5.
And your first name?
5.
First name, yeah. 5 winners. Thank you. We've got 2 teams here up. Let's get the head of the family up here for both families.
Again?
Dad's here.
You both have your hands behind your backs.
Can you do that?
We should have got him on the road. I have my hand out here.
This chest is pretty.
First gets first chance to answer. And the question is, if you could have one superpower to make you a better athlete, what would it be?
Ooh.
I think I felt you first.
So you did from the bottom. I thought you said from the top.
You on top. Sir, your answer. Stamina. Or stamina.
Oh gosh, I'm getting nervous.
Or stamina.
Hey, Danny.
Oh, 5.
Super strength.
5. You get a chance to What was the question? If you could have one superpower to make you a better athlete, what would it be? Oh,
Being injury proof.
being injury proof. Injury proof on the board. Yes. Board. All right.
Not spit proof.
So,
Until the dexterity's not
It was close. I was like, I don't know if it's the exact same.
It's going back to this one.
something backwards. Okay.
Super strength.
What's your name?
Flexi.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Okay. What was your answer?
Super strength.
Super strength. What does the team think? Is it super strength? Is it on the board?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. For 31 points. Miss, what's your name? One less queen. Somehow I've seen you in a different family. I don't really know exactly where it is. Miss, if you could have one superpower to make you a better athlete, what would it be? Fast is speed. You're telling me fast.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
No, it's not on the board. Okay. Sir, what's
they
your
need
name?
3, right? They need 3 X's.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Great to have you with us. Thank you for participating.
Okay.
If you could have one superpower to make you a better
They already
person,
said-
what would it be?
More flexible.
More flexible. Yeah. Okay. Can we be more flexible as a superpower?
Flexibility.
No, it's on
Yeah.
there. What's the button?
We have to think of more.
Okay. Morphin body is on there because you're still rolling. Sir, one superpower to make you a better person.
Short feet.
Short feet.
Yes.
Someone probably actually did put that though. It might be just a
Just.
Okay, well that's more body. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. You guys are still rolling. Back to the top of the order. One superpower to make you a better athlete. Right.
No, sir. Something like that.
Okay.
Infinite recovery.
Infinite recovery.
It might be.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, coming down the board.
There's 2 more.
Wonder Woman. What's your answer?
Explosiveness.
Explosiveness. Kind of explosiveness. No, okay. So here's how this works, guys. They have 2 strikes against them. If they get it wrong one more time, you guys have a chance to steal if you get the correct answer. So, one lift clean. One superpower to make you a better athlete.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, what?
Your answer.
Ken told me not to joke, but I don't know the answer.
Just tell me what's coming out of your mouth.
Sleep.
To sleep a lot. Is it on the board? Okay.
That was such a joke.
Okay, so it's pressure still on.
That's insane.
He's got to get it right, sir. One superpower to make you a better athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only one that has not as it.
So that's what I'm going. This to me.
I want to say never get tired, but it already says recover fast. So never get tired.
Never get tired. On the board.
It's not bad.
Okay. You guys now can talk amongst yourselves. You guys can give me one possible choice. It's the last one. Was the last one. 100 people surveyed. What did they say?
What else they got?
Intelligence.
Intelligence. Just being intelligent. In the round.
That's the head neck left.
That's alright. It was more motivation.
That's a power?
Have motivation powers.
Motivation.
It sounds like they need
Never get
motivation.
Group.
Let's go crazy. That's bad round. Let's go. We meet again.
Alright, that's fine. We'll go on. You guys have 91 points. Down.
Yo, that was so clutch.
Next question here.
That was so clutch.
She actually said sleep.
It was a joke, too. She was happy. Motivation. I actually get, like, I legit
The question is, what's the most disgusting post-weigh-in food or drink you've seen?
Ooh. Oh. Ooh.
Meatball sub.
Ooh.
What do you think?
You think that's what a people...
No, it's not on the board. Okay.
Meatball sub?
Is it
I've seen it.
Post-weigh, Chinese food post-weigh?
Chinese food.
Yeah, sauce.
That's a reach.
That's a reach.
Ethanol. So if I stick ketchup, that should count as a burger? You don't know. You say American food. American food is not the same. You're always been soy sauce. This burger for ketchup. Racist.
On the queen, most disgusting post-weigh-in food. Pickles. Pickles.
I roll hard.
Okay. Next family.
Try oral.
Try roll. Is it
Oh.
You said so.
It's not. Nope.
No, it's
Yeah, I don't know.
but it's wrong.
Yeah.
Most disgusting thing you've seen, sir. What's your name, by the way? Zardoz. Zardoz.
Love it.
Most disgusting food or drink. Wait. Sour kids.
Candy.
No. Okay. One more. The board goes to you guys. Sir, most disgusting post-weigh food.
Mustard.
Is it mustard?
So then we're still getting because we were.
How many do that groups?
You guys missed 3. So they get a chance to steal. They're going to get a chance to steal 27 points. And then the question is.
Okay. I don't know what else to try. So.
Hey, what is it?
Milk.
Say milk post-weigh. Milk post-weigh.
Chocolate milk.
No. Hamburgers.
Mustard. It's burgers and fries, actually. I'm about to say shut the.
So ketchup and not mustard.
Gatorade. Steve. What's wrong with you?
Tuna shakes.
Oh, that's Blaine's thing, huh?
Okay, it's disgusting.
Bro. Y'all don't know how to recon. Who's eating this?
We would have never
Here's
gotten
the thing.
it.
I should have said ketchup. I mean, I
disgusting.
said
They
milk.
would've
That's in
said
the shake.
common
That's 2
improvement.
shakes there. I mean, I don't know. It's so loose to these
The tuna shake, yeah. You can just say protons and cover yourself.
Carbon. You know what? You're right. You're right. Protons.
All right, let's get the next family member up.
All right.
Question number here. Okay, I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Who's the main character?
Oh, that's easy. Come on.
Cowboy Bebop.
What? No, the main character is like a person. I don't think No.
How much any end man? Is it
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Come on, guys. No, like a person. How do you? Yeah.
I misunderstood.
I get it.
Okay. Oh, I should have got one for that one. That was easy.
Naruto was an anime.
Everyone, check out with Goku. So you gotta think about
Naruto.
Is it Naruto?
Naruto.
Guys, don't actually. Well, yeah,
it's just
well, they took the one dude I would say. They took the one dude I would say. So
He's got no idea.
Just pick.
Is that your answer?
oh,
So it's
no, I 100% know it. For real?
He got it.
You gotta be kidding me!
Yeah.
We're making this up, man. That's so incredibly.
Thank you.
All
right, sir. Carlton was an anime. Who's the main character?
That's that easy. I think that'd be Amanda Lawrence.
Amanda Lawrence. Is she the main character of the anime? No. Okay, you guys get a chance to speak.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Yep.
No, we are still. Why?
All right. Because the second one was false.
Oh, okay.
Sean Noriega.
It's main character of the anime. Oh, okay. You guys get a chance to amongst himself for 15 seconds.
Yes. John.
Come on.
Yes.
All right, let's stay set.
She's.
Yep.
What were your answers?
Eureka. Okay. Yeah. Would have been the next one. Okay.
One Punch Man.
So I guess it is. I will give. Yep. Oh, look at it.
Go, Kuro.
So I guess it can use characters or.
Is they ask a question to random people and then take the top
Right.
Answers that they pick.
That
So
they
some
pick.
people misunderstood the question.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, you guys have to think, Tom.
We can understand.
Okay.
We got it.
He's not
Questions or answers for the team or die.
I didn't think they were great.
We're gonna bring it back to for question number 4. What's the next thing here?
Let's go.
We need this. We need this. Chloe, destroy his hand.
Chloe hit his hand, not Bryce.
Anastasia, destroy his hand.
Anastasia, I need you to get closer.
Batman.
Closer.
On your back. Put this right in the middle.
There you go. Chloe, good stance.
What's the most requested at a meet?
Shit.
I don't know who I felt.
Do it again. On 3.
Hold on.
On 3.
1, 2, 3.
Chloe! She like took it for more. No. No repeating the question. No. Chloe, no, stop. Chloe, it's not your problem. It's his problem.
Okay. Do you want to answer?
Bench press.
Bench press technique.
What?
He wasn't even listening. He just wanted to hit the hand.
Don't.
All right. Both you guys didn't hear the question.
Clearly.
So now you're gonna be
Go to the next person.
Hit the hand. Hit the hand. There you go.
Hit the head.
We're gonna come back.
Run on time. Run on time. Come on.
Hey,
Yeah, we're on time. Run on time. Run on time.
Chloe.
She's good. Okay, we got it.
So I'm learning the rules, guys. Look, you guys can sit down. Thank you. Go back to this person here and ask. If you don't have, then it goes to this team. Is that right?
How you gonna ask? They go in reverse order.
It's not. He wasn't going.
That's right.
Also my answer.
Okay. The question is, what's the most requested improvement at a meet? Going 9 for 9.
We got this. We got this.
What's the most requested?
Don't say it.
Experience
Yes.
itself.
We got
It's
it.
ready.
It's our turn.
Let's go. Thank you.
All right.
Here we go. Come on. Yeah, we got this.
Bryce, we got
To run on time.
We got this.
So what's her name? Sergey. Most requested improvement at a meet, please.
To run on time.
Here we go. Yes.
Run on.
My head hurts.
If that's not up to. Thank you. Okay.
What's the total time in the meet? Okay.
I think it's you, right?
Oh, yeah, it is me.
No talking now. Go through. We're going to the next person. Sir, what's your name?
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Tell me what's the most requested improvement. No talking.
Better warm-up rooms.
Better warm-up rooms. Is it there? Better warm-up rooms. Yes.
What's up?
Bigger warm-up area. Next person. Sir. Sergey.
Sir Sergey.
Sir.
Most requested improvement. No talking.
To you.
There's no.
Spotter loaders.
Better spotters and loaders. Better spotters and loaders.
Maybe not fail.
No, it's not on the list. Hey, from the middle.
That's present. You take it.
I guess they can never run a meet because I've given that a 15 million.
Most requested improvement at a meet.
the equipment.
Better equipment. Is it there? Better equipment isn't on the board. Okay.
These are lead ups.
It's Italian.
Now that we know the question. Me?
Yes, sir.
Refs.
Better refs. Better refs.
Better judging than refs.
I would go with that.
Yeah.
Judging
Yeah.
consistency. Okay. Going down the list.
Better platform.
Better platform.
Let's go.
I feel like the fall one.
Okay.
Better platform is on the list. Okay. We're knocking them out here. We have to be 3 left. Steve.
Better music.
Better music.
I like it.
Better music.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
I don't know.
Oh, it's me.
Sir, Vlad, Sergey, excuse me.
Number of lifters.
Number of lifters, high or low? Too high, too low? More lifters, less lifters?
I mean, they gave it for a freaking Ketchup, so that's what.
Something to do with the liver. Soy sauce. Soy sauce. I'm gonna call soy sauce. I'm invoking soy sauce. Humans.
Number salt.
What did you say?
Could go to you guys.
Location.
Location.
Okay, yeah. It's okay. They don't steal. We get it. They don't steal. We got it.
So you guys don't have to be quiet.
So our answer is better live stream. We're using a live stream.
Using a live stream.
Oh, that's what could be.
Where did all that work?
Go. Good one.
That is true.
What's it say more than?
We did all that work.
They have 2 minutes.
Batman answers that one.
How that work?
I guess those answers don't make sense though.
Let's see family members up here for our 5th and final question. Steve. And what's your name, sir?
Watch out, they might hit you.
We got. Yeah, sorry, I hit your arm.
Do not apologize.
Sorry, I hit the inside.
Here's the question. False start. Here we go.
Relax.
5-yard penalty.
What's the most cringy powerlifting word? Sir.
Damn, slow.
Gnarly. Is gnarly? No, gnarly is not the most cringy powerlifting word, sir. Tell me.
We all do that. Oh man.
The Russian family here has control of the board. And we're going to talk to Sergey here as we continue on. What's the most cringy powerlifting word, sir?
Oh, pocket.
Pocket. Pocket. Okay, all points are doubled this time.
Oh, come on.
The keys.
The keys. We see the keys.
That's not us.
Just.
Oh, keys did not make it on the board.
Should have been number 1.
Sir, what's your name?
Ivan.
Most cringy powerlifting.
Do I have a time limit here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably like let's go sort of thing. Like let's go.
Let's go. Is let's go.
Oh my god.
Okay, so Steve.
What? We
No,
have.
we have one more.
We have.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you guys have one first.
You go with up.
Up is
Oh, yeah.
there. Is up there.
Oh.
Yeah. You go with your heart. Say what you think the worst thing in powerlifting is.
See,
Do it.
tell me.
Think like
What's the
West Side
cringy
coaches.
What's the worst thing in powerlifting? Do it. Say it. You said it earlier.
That's it.
Time. Oh, this is so cheating. Come on.
Pick it up. Pick it up.
Pick it up. Pick it up. No.
Oh yeah, that's not.
15 seconds to steal. 15 seconds to steal.
For sure. For sure. 100%. I guarantee it.
Oh.
Is that real?
Yeah.
You have to think of what to put in.
You see some
Sub 6. Smart.
You're kidding.
It's like sub RPE.
Come on.
No, sub 6.
Sub 6.
Sub 6. I get.
If you can see this, we won.
This is cheating.
This is.
Oh, so that's what's on the streets. What do we have? CNS.
Oh yeah, mystery.
Yep. Regardless.
Join round of applause.
Hella disrespect.
This is boo boo.
For the record, Sarah had no contribution to that team win at all.
Why is that thing called a Yeti?
All right,
We're back.
we're back with a little bit of what would we populate if we do it again? We're doing our best, LS.
If you would have said ketchup, I would have given
If
you
you would say
burgers.
ketchup, we were prepared to give you. We were prepared to give you burgers, sir.
Mike
You
is
said
kind of
ketchup, we were
sketchy.
prepared to give you burgers.
Ben, Mike is quiet. What's
My
up with
mic's
that
not
mic?
even on, but
Oh,
Sarah's is. So
you could talk.
yeah, she can talk.
It's Ben.
Yeah, this mic isn't connected, but hers is. Deal with it. We
They probably
have
want to.
75 microphones in this building. We're doing our best.
Ben might be coming. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I am definitely
Confirmed.
coming through her mic, but I'm not gonna get closer.
Do we actually get donations on that?
No.
Yeah. No.
We didn't, but it was very fun.
I hope people were enjoying it and kind of chatting.
They seem to.
Who's all on our crowds? Or that's not crowdsource
They were
plan.
playing along.
Roundtable
They're all
programming
good friends.
coming at you.
Are we doing another round, Bryce?
We're going to a powerlifting programming roundtable now.
Powerlifting programming roundtable. Do you want to switch headsets?
Yeah.
and all
Go
that?
ahead.
All right, now you guys should all be able to hear me and stop complaining that the mic's quiet. Super big shout outs to Sarah for facilitating all of the wonderful
We're gonna come back with Jeopardy.
judging. We are coming back with Jeopardy later, but for now we're going to transition to a programming roundtable that is getting. You're seeing actually some of the behind the scenes with our setup here, and I'm actually leaving that up there intentionally so that you guys can understand all that's going into this, because there's a lot going into this, and so I don't want to hear anybody getting sassy. This roundtable is about programming specifically. And again, I will remind everybody who's watching that this is a charity live stream. So if you have the availability to support right now, it'd be really, really cool for that to happen. Exclamation mark donation in the chat, or donate, either one. Charity, those are all things. And there's a big button that is available that you guys can use to give money for good causes. All right, we've got, this is going to be your group that I just, nope, there it is. I love that you're going to get LS in trouble with that, because that's posted under his name as he's yelling at us because we decided that when someone said Chinese food, soy sauce was adequate. And we're trying not to get fought.
Where's Sean? Sean, do you know any programming as in like Python or JavaScript?
Wait, why?
People are programming roundtable. Yeah.
You can close this out.
We're working on it. Are they ready?
Yeah, they're ready.
Okay, I'm going to,
Turn on their audio for the Yeti.
I'll throw on the audio and I'm going to get rid of us as well.
Okay.
So I hope you guys enjoy this next segment brought to us by Virus Apparel. If you ever have noticed the wonderful legs on our good Bryce boy, he is always... Bryce, walk by the camera. Walk by the camera so they can see your apparel. Look at this Virus boy. This segment is brought to you by Virus Apparel, a proud sponsor of those beautiful legs. Hope you guys enjoy the next segment. We're going to turn on their microphone, mute ourselves, and we will see you for Jeopardy. Behave yourselves in the chat.
Training the gear, you just become red.
All right.
It's also like 1,000 sites.
Live. Down there, let's be quiet. We need to share what's quiet.
When people are just like on such fucking gear, they just.
So I'm gonna do a few things here. I'm gonna announce questions to you guys, and I'm also gonna read questions. So we got a bunch of high-level coaches here.
Hey,
What? Got a bunch of coaches here who do this for a living. You guys are in front of spreadsheets all the time. You guys are crunching numbers. You're looking at training footage all the time. Talking with your own plates. I want to say, out of all of them, what do you guys find is the easiest, and what do you guys find is the most difficult? So you guys have time to just chat with each other. We'll start with what's the easiest. What's the easiest part of all?
Writing the training.
Is it video, deep review?
I think writing the training.
Is the easiest part?
Probably. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right?
Out of everything, I think after you work with someone, especially long enough, the programming becomes pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
As far as the easiest thing.
As long as there aren't problems to solve.
Yeah. Yeah. Assuming things are going well.
So, is that been the hardest part, or is it something else?
I was just about to say that actually.
Yeah,
I think the hardest part for in a lot of ways is managing the human
Yes.
behind that program.
Yeah.
It's helping that human cope with injury, cope with expectations, cope with just kind of all of the pressure they put on themselves, setting the appropriate goals, all of that kind of stuff.
Developing a healthy mindset for the athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Managing expectations.
Managing expectations,
is probably going to be the one that maybe not necessarily is the hardest. It depends on the individual, their experience as a lifter, and also the amount of time that you're with them, because that is going to not necessarily be one of the main factors as far as their expectations on what they have with working with said individual or coach, right? For example, if you go with like a popular coach, I need you to put 100 kilos on my total in like 6 months, right?
Yeah.
But if there's a lot of other things that they need to work on, then that expectation is not necessarily going to be the most appropriate long-term wise anyways.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest like activation energy humps, like hurdles for a lot of coaches out there is probably like figuring out how to be the coach that the athlete needs in terms of like what kind of behavior, what like type of communication you need to have with an athlete. Like I recently went through a mentorship program with the interns that I hired, and one of the things we talked about was like, what kind of coach are you now? So like you need to do the introspection and figure out like where you lie on this continuum of like, are you like a Bill Belichick type? Are you like a Phil Jackson type? Like, where do you lie on the authoritative scale, the empathy scale, cooperation? You need to figure out who you are, as a coach, and then like where your deficits are, because not every athlete that comes to you is going to be an ex-football player, an ex-college athlete, where it's like when you say jump, they say how high, they say how high. A lot of the times it's going to be somebody who is, not necessarily new to powerlifting, but maybe just needs more, navigation in terms of how you communicate with them. They tend to have more ups and downs emotionally that moves with the volatility of training. And I think that, it goes a long way to be able to communicate with that type of, neurotic or sometimes emotionally vulnerable athlete where like, one coach can scare them away from the sport and then another coach can really get the most out of them.
Yeah.
So that same thing, like this idea of kind of being this chameleon and being able to kind of adapt to different athletes you work with, is there too much where you're kind of like diverted too much from your own identity as a coach, or is it really just about being the best for the athlete?
Definitely.
I think
that can be saying like you have this, like it's important for a coach to be adaptable, to be a bit of a chameleon, but at the same time, you can't be too much of a chameleon, because then if you stray away from like who you are and what you are, and you're not being authentic in that nature, that's going to show up. And knowing that you can be a really fucking amazing coach
and still have to turn some people away because you're just not the right fit.
Yeah.
And being okay to be in that space, to be like, you know what, like, I think you'd probably work better with this person, like, and be okay in that space to just turn somebody away, knowing that they're going to be better with that other coach just by virtue of kind of fit.
How many times?
And knowing that, like, the end goal for everybody ought to be to elevate us all.
Yeah.
And taking on the wrong people and the wrong athletes is just going to not only like stall their progress, but it's going to like wear on you as a coach.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be the best person or the best coach you can for that person, but that's also then going to take from you and for other people that you influence.
Absolutely.
And that can be a really hard thing to learn and a really hard pill to swallow because, like, I mean, most all of us are here because we're really passionate about this and we love this. And it can be hard to say, no, I can't work with you because we are that passionate about it.
Right.
Like, it can be a really big hurdle to overcome.
It takes humility for sure.
I also think it's an honor when somebody thinks that they come to you for coaching and they say, I want you to coach me because I respect you for all these reasons and I value your input. And you're like, here's why I don't think that's going to be the right fit. So you have to kind of like level yourself with them and say, like, this is the reality.
It's interesting that oftentimes on the programming side, we can be flexible enough to coach for just about anyone.
Yep.
But it's almost the softer skills that can sometimes be the make or break thing between not being able to work with someone.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for that is like making sure that communication happens up front before you work with anybody. Like, I'm sure most of us hop on some kind of call with a lifter before we start working with them because, like, even though I've learned, throughout my coaching career to be that chameleon, be very, very malleable, like, I know where my roots are, and I definitely like to run like a tight ship to get everybody to do all the little things right. And just I like working with people who are like really intense and care a lot about their training. So like being upfront and making sure that the expectations on both ends are consistent. Like, yeah, there's going to be, variation within that window where, like I said, some athletes might just need a little bit more, not necessarily leeway, but that those soft skills need to come in your ability to get the most out of them. But ultimately, like, being blunt, like, I'm not going to want to work with somebody who is, discouraged from training, half the week, and they're not on top of their diet. They're not, there are coaches out there who do like working with that, average person who just does it as like a hobby, or maybe they're not like super intense about it. But yeah, I mean, that's just not me. And that's, it's important to make sure that the athlete knows that up front, and what the athlete wants up front. Because if you don't have that discussion and then you make it, 12 weeks, 16 weeks down the road, and there's this disconnect, it's like, oh shit, like, this is going to be messier than if we had just avoided this in the beginning.
If you work with someone that's brand new to lifting and it's online and you can't be there with someone like a brand new lifter, it's like, hey, you probably should go with someone that's local to get started, to learn, to get to the point where you can actually use an online coach correctly.
Yeah. I wanted to mention with something Ross said with like, if you bend too much, can't do your job properly. And I think once you start sort of sticking with your gut instinct, it's kind of firm on who you take on. And I think, Sean, it's evident, like with you, I think people, when they come to you, know what they're going to get. And so you and it's true for a lot of you, like you start to sort of create a filter without having to do anything up front. Like
kind of carve out the space that you want us.
I think that's important because everyone does something, maybe not 100% the same. There's some variation, but that variation is your standard as a coach. And that standard is what drives people to go work with you or with someone else, because everyone has slightly different standards when it comes to what we're doing. So I think that's where the line of delineation is really made, this person does more of this style of training versus these other three options. And that's where you get that spread.
I really do like the programming aspect of it and the training part of it and being creative to problem solve through getting progress with the athlete. Like, that's standard across the board. We all have to be able to do that. It's all the other things that
come to
make us a little bit different. That allow us to fit with the different people. And that's really where it aligns. Like the cogs of the wheel have to align. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there and fight each other, and then nobody's going to progress and win at the end.
I think that comes down to, and I think all of us, the same way you said, all of us kind of have to have a certain standard for programming. We all have to actually decide that we care more about the lifter and those we're working with than maybe our own name or our brand or whatever, because it's really easy to get caught up in like, oh, I've never had to let a client go. Oh, I'm known to be able to work with anybody, whatever it may be. But it's like, if you actually care about one, that individual lifter, you want what's best for them, if it's not you. And then two, like you mentioned, if you're racking your brain trying to find a way to be compatible with this one person, you're shortchanging yourself and then however many other athletes you have, because now you're in this sense of frustration. Maybe one of your athletes asks you a typical daily question and you blow up on it because you're just at that point of frustration. So
it's this energy suck.
Exactly. It has to be about, hey, at the end of the day, we work for our athletes. It's not about using them to get to any type of whatever like goal or stance. About, hey, I work for them, they pay me. My goal needs to always be, what can I do to maximize their results? If I can't do that, then stop.
Yeah, we're providing a service.
That's it.
Value.
And I think I think what Brian said about like how, you know, when you come to a coach, if you're, you know, you do your due diligence as an athlete, prospective athlete, you kind of know what you're getting with each person, where like there's been this filter that's set before you actually end up interacting with the coach. And I think that what it comes down to is like, you know, that introspection that I mentioned about being a coach, like that figuring out that identity. It's like that type of coach that you are is the reason that you are successful at what you do. Like that primary type of coach that you are is the reason that, you know, 99% of your athletes have succeeded. So it's like the malleability is more so for the like the blips and the little outliers within the athletes that you end up working with, not necessarily, you know, you filling the gaps in the sense that, okay, I need to figure out how I can be better at all these things so I can take on all of these athletes. It's more so like within the athletes that I'm compatible to work with, these soft skill sets will help me deal with the fluctuations that those types of athletes may experience.
Create buy-in.
You can look at that in the same sense of just from a sports standpoint, right? Like the more sports you do, the less better you're going to be at all of them. Whereas if you narrow your focus to one particular sport, you're going to be much better at that sport. Yeah. And I think the same thing can be held for like how you're actually going to approach coaching that.
And so I have a question for you guys about young athletes. So, you know, we're talking about kind of programming for one specific athlete, but at least in powerlifting, there's this potential to have someone as a 17-year-old and stay with them for 10 years if you want to just kind of continue to progress with them. Are there things to do differently for young athletes, either on the programming side or on the programming side, that you kind of change over time to allow for some type of long-term athletic development or something like that?
Do you want to go in order or something for each?
Do you want to do that?
Yeah,
just go around there. Shoe.
So I guess on the programming side, like I'm a big proponent in like enough of the competition movement to gain proficiency, but the overall emphasis should be on, like should be at least biased in that direction. So
would that be different exercise selection?
Yeah, so it could be. I mean, it could just be more volume, or it could be like if they're not proficient in the movement, it's like it's a balance because you don't want to sabotage the goal of hypertrophy through a lack of proficiency. But so yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the situation, but I guess I'm a big believer that we know that as you get more advanced, hypertrophy and development is the most predictive variable for differences in strength. And you can see the lifters that have been training for 10 years that have never spent time focusing on that because they've like maxed out their weight class and they don't really have anywhere to go. So, so I think, and I think it's good just from an enjoyment perspective, lack of burnout. Like I think if you just redline specificity out of the gate, they're just
Just the questions don't take as long. I'd rather just kind of bounce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Just sit closer or something.
If I can probably in so I'll just be louder.
Okay.
I think if the assumption, like if we're operating under the assumption that we want this lifter to last 10 plus years in powerlifting, then like for a 17-year-old, the most important piece of it is enjoyment and fun. And they're going to make progress because as long as you're progressively overloading, extended periods of time, like that person is going to get stronger, get better at the lifts, etc. And so I think for that, the purpose of this question, like that is the number one priority, is keeping them interested and consistently training in some form or fashion.
I mean, from a, to go along with that, I'm not even, I mean, obviously we're talking about, longevity here, but I think that even from a performance standpoint, I'm erring on the side of development and hypertrophy with Brian, because a lot of the times, especially in today's like fitness culture, like there are a lot of like young powerlifters who like they get into the sport, like you look at them, they're not jacked, right? And there are a lot of them who dive headfirst into starting these SBD days and getting hyper specific, and they're like, oh, I'm super young right now, and like Ashton was hitting this when he was this age, so by the time I'm his age, I should be able to hit this. It's like, well, no, because look where you are in terms of like, filling up your specificity bucket from the specificity well, and it's like your returns, because of your smaller base muscularly and development wise, are so much smaller. It's like you're gonna be making progress at a much slower rate. So even from just a progress standpoint, like I am definitely looking on the side of development. Not necessarily minimum effective dose when it comes to the competition movements, but like
sustainable.
Exactly, sustainable. With regards to, I know, Bryce, that you had asked, like, does that mean different variations? Does that mean different exercise selection? Like Brian said, maybe not. Like if you have a lifter who's not really suited to squat, like I'm going to throw him on a hack squat. I'm going to throw him on a leg press. Like that's how we're going to build our legs. If you're built like, Connor Borkert or Russell Orhe with, just favorable leverages to be able to squat, like maybe that lifter gets a little bit more comp squat volume than somebody who's, built like me, or you just have really long legs, right? It's like how can we get better at the lifts? Okay, that's where the, the resources for specificity go. And then it's like, okay, you need to actually build some muscle. We need to establish the constraints that are going to allow you to do that, without having to reference too many cues or think that much. It's like, can we just put you on this, blow you up tissue wise, and then like, exactly.
Put them on a chest press and get them going.
Exactly.
It's strange.
I'm pausing for a second. I have someone else take this question. It sounds like, so an athlete might come to you and they say, I see how Actor trains, I see how Sean trains, I want to train like I'm 17 years old. You got to break their heart. Look, we're going in a different direction. How do you guys create buy-in?
I'll break your heart every time. These kids in Texas, I mean, me and Marcellus know all these new gyms, powerlifting gyms. Texas is so big for powerlifting, and I've talked with all of you guys about this. Like the new kids that are 17 going into the powerlifting specific gym, they don't even see leg presses. They don't see these other things. They don't even bother with it. But then it's like you related the specific like powerlifting related and not. To get them interested, they still want to do those. So you still kind of need to, to start with that. But I really, really think like the age of like the 2011 natural bodybuilding needs to be like, we need to bring that back. We're doing push-pull legs, we're doing stuff like that. And then from there, we really can get a base after like 5 years. How many of like me and you, we came up around the same time?
Yeah,
we
and
did that type of stuff.
When we were in high school, like kids bodybuilded, like teenage boys wanted to be jacked. Yeah. And like that is where the genesis was.
Even if we're doing bench squat and deadlift, it wasn't like singles. We're like, oh, how many reps can you get? Like even that's hypertrophy work. But to answer your question about how you create buy-in, I would pull up like, okay, for example, like a lot of these young guys want to be the next Russell Orhe. Okay, well, I'm gonna pull up Russell's old YouTube videos and show you how this dude was training way before he got super comp specific. Dude was doing crazy bodybuilding workouts. Like it's like they don't want that. They don't want to do that. Well, my thing with that is it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like you said, it's like you can incorporate the big three, and I think you should, because I mean, even as beginners, what's one of the first things that we're taught is like, oh, hey, those big compound movements, put on the muscle. If you're brand new to like lifting in general, then squats are going to help your legs blow up, bench is going to help your chest go up, deadlift's going to help the back, the hamstrings, something like that. But it's like I'm going to also incorporate enough other movements through different planes, range of motion, not only to add muscle mass, but like you guys said, longevity, help get your joints stronger in different ranges of motion, things like that, and just explain that to them. That like, I mean, like, once again, we can use I do this all the time, actually. Like when people be like, well, Sean's got this mega arch and blah, blah, and he's learned to manipulate his leverages to lift the most weight. I want to do that. I'm like, I pull up this video, I think from like 5 years ago, where this dude's literally like super close bench, super close squat, and like pulling conventional. I'm like, this is where this dude's basics. Yeah, it's like yeah.
It's
No,
you got to
but
bring them along incrementally,
Yeah.
and then slowly you can get to this.
Yeah.
You know,
And
It's millimeters over years and years.
yeah. And one of the things I tell a lot of kids, like to answer your question about how do you break their heart, it's like you shouldn't your mindset is backwards. Like you shouldn't want to have to do more to get the same return if you can do less. Like I would prefer not to bench 5 or 6 days a week. Like that would be great if I did not have to do that. And it's like they don't realize that the point that we're at is out of necessity. It's like this is the amount that we need to do to get the 2.5, the 5, the 7.5 kilos, on a single lift every year. It's like they don't realize that if they build this base, they might for the first 2 years only have to squat once a week, maybe twice, deadlift once a week, bench 2-3 times a week. Like that is ideal. Milk that as long as you can.
Do you think there's a line where it's like, okay, we can do the minimum effective dose, but then there's also what's like the sustainable dose, right?
There's literature on that as far as like what might
Like we don't necessarily like if you can bench twice a week, even though you're making progress on only one, but twice a week is fine and you're not doing any problems. I think there's still a lot of people that could probably do that.
Yeah, I'm not
No,
advocating for,
I know you're
for
not.
always being minimum effective dose.
No, I know you're not.
So one thing I wanted to mention, and that actually kind of parallels nutrition in itself, at least from my experience, is that younger individuals have maybe they weren't told or informed of the importance of body composition.
Yeah.
And that seems to have gone hand in hand with right now with the popularity of powerlifting. Go on Instagram, what do you see? Top sets, singles, max out sessions, things like that. You rarely see the accessory and supplemental work that is done by the majority of experienced lifters that know the value and the benefits of those movements, not only for increasing muscle mass, but for longevity. Because if you keep doing this, the competition movements over and over again, you're also conforming and limiting yourself to certain movements. And over time, that could either lead to mental burnout, physical burnout, also known as injury, right? And by having a preferred, it's one way of saying it, but having a higher lean body mass on your frame relative to, let's say, fat mass, then I'm not saying you will, but you're less likely to result in that situation, mental and physical burnout. And I mean, it could serve as easy as, let's say, if we're going to be specific, just to give a very vague example, if we have a 12-month training year, a macro cycle, if you put in certain, micro mesocycles throughout there and kind of like sprinkle them in where you're pulling back on the specificity and, kind of opening it up to variation as kind of like a mental and physical break, that's going to go so long as far as longevity is concerned, especially for these young kids that don't have the muscle mass that, let's say, the majority of us have because we've been doing this for how many years now, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to play a huge role because one day they're going to wake up and their hips hurting, their pecs, bothering them. Why? Because they're hitting, RPE 8s, 9s, frequently throughout the week, and their body, their ligaments and tendons can only handle so much. So I think that's something that should be mentioned.
I think one of the things that it comes down to, aside from the culture, is just a lot of people don't have an appreciation for delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I like to say also is like there's the emotional aspect, I think, for a lot of the kids where it's like, because we see it all the time, there are a lot of lifters who are now maybe that newbie that wants to get into powerlifting, maybe now they're 2-3 years deep, right? They're doing all their SBD days, they're super specific, but they never really got that strong. And now they're at this crossroads where it's like, I know that I need to actually recomp, build some muscle, but now I've built up 2 to 3 years of emotional attachment to the big three and where my progress is at. And it's like, shit, I don't want to have to stop doing all this stuff. Like, I don't want to see my numbers go down. They compete 2-3 times a year. They have friends that they train with. It's like now they've built up all of this attachment to the sport. And it's a lot harder to forego all of that to then get into the bodybuilding stuff than if they had just done that in conjunction with it at the start.
Thing about that when you said like the delayed gratification, like when we started and you started with bodybuilding, like you didn't knowingly know that you were delaying your
Yeah.
strength.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so like it's but I think
That's what you were doing.
You
it's
lucked out.
helpful. I think it's helpful, like when we talk about buy-in, like explain why this should be a desirable goal. Like explain why this is an objective that needs to be met.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And build that desire.
Yeah.
And,
So one of the things that I think about with like buy-in is relating it to fatherhood, and you can probably experience that and relate to that. Like, I don't think anybody else here has kids. No. Okay, just wanted to check on you.
My cats.
But like, there's a lot of times, like especially if a kid's upset, like the best thing that you can ever do to help calm a kid down is stop talking at them. Just immediately drop down to their level and talk down here with them. Like, because they're way less scared, they're way less intimidated, and man, like that works so great. There's so many times like when Rosalie's upset, and I'm like, just lay on the ground, get lower than her, and look up at her. Like, does so good. So like, trying to get down there with them and meet them where they're at, rather than saying, hey, come up here and talk with me. Like, get down where they're at and try and meet them where they're at, because we have the experience, right? Like, so we got to get down to where they're at and find out like really where they're at, rather than from a comparison standpoint, and see where they're at and get down there. And that's a lot of times where you can start to create that buy-in, where you find out where they're really at.
Yeah.
To project them to where they're talking about.
it's kind of like the idea of like steel. I mean, I know you're arguing with the child, but like the steel man argument, like you like bolster their argument, like it's like, okay, I can relate. This is why you're upset about this. Like you sort of agree with them initially, and then you tell them why that's irrational.
It's like
Say, like, I see stress.
yeah.
It's like
You're missing this stuff.
However,
I don't either. That shit.
so I'm gonna go back to something where I think I was saying about evolution, and the way that I'm phrasing it is this: you've been working with someone for a little while, and you found this formula that works really well for them, but you know that period throughout the year where they're doing something different might be a good idea, maybe not. Maybe if you find a formula, you just stay with it until it's done. What do you guys do for variation? Either variation over mesocycle, or macrocycle, or years. How do you guys, if you do at all, incorporate any type of changes in structure or exercise side of so kind of more broader term that stuff? Roger, you were talking about kind of periods of high hypertrophy training, things kind of like.
So what I've done is I actually treat it, you can kind of parallel to what's called nutrition periodization, where you have, of course, this is if you know that the lifter or the athlete has an end goal in mind. Well, then you know the end goal, and obviously you're at the start point. So then what you would need to do from there is take a look at the plan as a whole, as a macro cycle in this particular case, and break that up into meso micro cycles. Ideally, in a perfect world, it would just run straight linearly, but obviously that's not going to be the case, 99% of the time. So at that point, what I'm suggesting is simply that you should have a standard, a base standard or foundation of, okay, for this amount of time, whether it be, a couple microcycles or a couple mesocycles, this is the goal. And this goal is going to lead into the next mesocycle, which is going to accumulate or roll over on top into the next one, which is going to eventually lead you into that macrocycle goal, right? So as far as variations are concerned, each mesocycle or even each mesocycle can have, like I said, its own separate or main emphasis in which it'll roll over to the next one. That's going to be the foundation of that is going to be specific movements, right? So if you have a lifter that has deficiencies in certain areas of the competition movements, I'm sure we all have go-to movements or variations that are supposed to address those deficits, right? And then from there, you would lead on to the next section or the next mesocycle and roll that over. I can't give you specifics because
Yeah, sure.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I know, for instance, like the new emerging strategies framework is a form of figure out the good stuff and do it until it's stuff good.
Yeah.
And do something else. So this is like the broad structure of what you guys all do. And you can have like in the back of your mind something, oh, 8 weeks from now, we're gonna spend small muscle groups or oh, I feel like in competition, we're really going to see if we can fix that after. It's like, what's the long term coaching structure?
I think for me it comes down to risk reward, like determining like where this athlete is at. Like we probably all have athletes who are, you know, top of the top, and you're just like, there's a cost to specificity, but you really want to win. And it's like, for that type of athlete, I'm going to lean more emerging strategies where it's like, okay, things are going really well. You're squatting low bar 3 days a week. All right, this may not be the best thing for you. Maybe in like, you can't predict injury, but like if you had to, guess if we're redlining you more often than not, it's like, yeah, chances are, you'll run into something, but it's like, okay, but this is the trade-off. Like any sport, if you want to be good, you need to be hyper specific at it. But that's not the average athlete for any of us. So from like a variation standpoint for me, when it comes to like variations of the big three, the first thing I'm gonna think of is, because one of the things that I see a lot of people do, it's like they almost program variation for the sake of it. It's just like, oh, we're at this point in the year, or we're after a meet, let's do this movement. Here's an SSB, here's a high bar. And one of the things I like to look at, just like from a movement standpoint, is like, is this movement easier from like a cueing, a referencing standpoint? Like, is it going to be, is the athlete going to have more to think about if I program this variation? Are they going to dip into some different, compensatory strategies to do this movement? Or is it going to be easier for them? Because I'm not necessarily focused on like, oh, this movement is going to build their quads. Because if that's truly my goal, I'll put them on a leg press, a hack squat. It's like the skill is the skill. And the way I see variations, it's like I have to enhance a skill there, not necessarily a muscle group. At least that's not the priority of it. So from like an SBD variation standpoint, like my goal with any of those variations is going to be like, can we remove some of the thinking power? Can we maybe you have a low bar squatter who's super, super hingy. They reference a lot of extension. Maybe they're dealing with some sort of low back or hip issues. It's like, if I put you in an SSB, does that mental and physical strategy just go out the window and you're just able to squat straight up and down? It's like, okay, that happened. Good. We're going to use that at certain points of the year.
Personally, I'm big on using variations on an as need basis. I've always pretty much been opposed, especially as someone like, when I first started, who tried to cycle things in and out, like, oh, change up, confused by blah, blah, blah. I feel like a lot of people, like Sean said, they do variations just because. It's one thing if I can tell, like, okay, my lifter psychologically is kind of burnt out doing the same thing over and over. If I gave them 2-3 months of a little bit different movements, it'll recharge them, get back into that's fine. But assuming that's not the case, I feel like, first of all, I think people are too quick to try to use variations to fix a problem with the main movement. When half the times, like, okay, well, did you try cueing this first, cueing this differently? So I look at it from the standpoint of, can I fix it within the movement itself first?
Yep.
And then if it's in the, and that's the biggest thing. And if I can, and even though it fixes it, we realize, oh, this is more of a muscular weakness. Well, I'm not gonna necessarily go to a variation that's gonna target that muscle. I'm going to give you like, okay, oh, his upper back's weak. Okay, I'm gonna give him more rows. We're gonna do something like that first. And
the main variation is far lower down in the list.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because like, and if I do give them variation, it has to be something that makes sense. Like, okay, somebody has trouble maintaining tension in the whole of the squat. I'm gonna give them a close variant, like a pause squat. We can still kind of push and progress that the way we would a comp squat, but it's going to help force them to work on those mechanics. Or if somebody like they tend to dive bomb, okay, I'll give you like a 3-4 second tempo, something like that. But variations that are further away from the comp specific lifts, I have to have a very specific reason for why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
I just have one more thing to add. I think when we learned to program initially, we probably all heard the idea of increasing specificity as you go. And I think it's easy, and this goes for a lot in strength sports. We almost think that that's what causes the adaptation is getting more specific, but like the principle of it's the other way around. Like if you're getting an adaptation and it's working, you don't need to change like what the demand is. So
exactly.
Like Sean, a good example is like you doing sets of 8 on like sumo deadlifts like 3 weeks out from a meet. Like that violates specificity, but the bottom line is it's
works.
there.
It works.
So,
Exactly.
Like don't ignore the
goes,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. That's one of the biggest things, like the core principle behind like emerging strategies is to find the response that you respond best to and use that going into a meet. I've literally peaked a lifter going into a meet using a ramp up set of 6 by 6 at 7 by 6 at 6, 7, 8 with a low drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he crushed his PRs.
Yeah.
Like by 6 at 8, I mean, you're looking at what? 75-ish% is the highest intensity load he touched, and he crushed his PRs. Like, obliterated his PRs.
Yeah.
Not just like a 5 kilo PR. I mean, like, and on a seasoned lifter.
Yeah.
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 So, like, exactly. It doesn't have to be find that response. And, like, and if you're pulling 8s out right outside of a meet, for sure.
No, I mean, yeah, that's one of the things that I try to tell a lot of people, and we've had this conversation, Brian, a ton of times. It's like the adaptation is not the consequence of the overload. It's that you're able to overload as a consequence of the adaptation.
Exactly.
And you were a part of, you know, writing my program for this past meet that I did. You know, like we were talking about specificity and how it relates to, you know, different phases of your training year. It's like the concept of doing like the high rep deadlifts violates all of that. You saw my training the week out from my competition. I think it was like a 3x8 on the Wednesday deadlift day, and then I had a 2x8 on the Friday.
Which is something I would have never programmed.
Yeah.
Left up. And so I think it speaks to like just listening.
And previous preps that I've done, like, you do that high rep stuff in the off season, you do what works, or not even the off season. Maybe you're just 8 weeks out, and then you start getting closer to the meet, and you're like, oh, well, I should do this because this is more specific.
Yeah.
And almost every meet I've seen like that 4 weeks out mark where the rep ranges come down, the decline happened every single time. And then this time around when I was working with Brian, I was like, we're just going to ride this out. Like, I'm pulling the best singles of my life concurrent with 9s and 8s. It's like, we'll keep it in and just bring the volume down. And that's it.
I think it's about
like deep inspired like to work towards emerging strategies.
Yeah. I think it's about remembering that variations, rep ranges, these are all just tools. Like, yes, we have general rules that generally work, but as you work with a lifter longer, go with the data. If this is working for them, stick with that. In the same way, like,
If something's not working for them,
then be willing to change it. Like,
Don't beat your head against
that's why one thing that because we all, I'm sure I've heard like, oh, don't be a cookie cutter coach. Don't give all your clients like the same thing. Well, I'm also very much against giving your client something different just for the sake of like if I give a client something, I don't care if all my other clients are doing it or if none of them are doing it. I care, is this working for you specifically?
Or if you're doing it currently.
Yes. Yeah, honestly. Well, yeah, because it's something as simple as like, okay, just because we just finished a meet in the off season, if being specific is working well for us right now, be specific. If we're 2 weeks out from a meet and I know that if I give him 3 times low bar, it wrecks his back, I'm just gonna keep that 3rd day high bar into the meet.
Right. Yeah. Me and Bryce talked about this, me and you, like a week out for my meet. And I've been doing this since 2018, 2019, basically just ramping up all the way the whole time, pretty, no breaks. And since then, like, I probably would never do that for most people. But for me, keeping tons of squats in, tons of deadlifts in, all the way up until the meet, and kind of taking it as just one of your another strong days. If you have the momentum, ride it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I want to ask about the flip side of that coin, and it's about when something doesn't. So you've got a strategy you thought was a good idea, you had the best intentions going into it. You're finding it's not working, and you have certain pieces of information you're looking at for how to tell whether it's not working. How long do you stick with something before you know that it's not working and it's time to move on to something else? Or do you look at other factors? But how do you decide when it's time to flip the switch and do something new? And I know it's especially true or prevalent in training issues. Like, how do you find out some of that sets of 6 all the way up to me was the way to go? What are those pieces of information for you guys?
I had a question actually for you, Ross, about the emerging strategies. Like, how do you account for, the principle is, I agree with it completely, but how do you guys assess the influence of like fatigue across the mesocycle? Are you comparing like trends in E1RM block to block, like averages, or are you looking at things on a microcycle to microcycle basis? Like, are you 5 weeks in and something, E1RM has trended down for 2 weeks, that could just be fatigue versus needing to swap it?
Generally, like if it's somebody that you've worked with for a while and you have like you have it mapped out. You know, like the lifter, and you know that, like, say their time to peak is 6 weeks, and all of a sudden week 4, week 5 are both down. Like, to me, at that point, if they're trending down, and we know that that level of work is something that they normally sustain, what's going on outside the gym? There's something else outside the gym that's influencing the training, because at the end of the day, it's all stress adaptation. And whether it be stress from the training or stress from life, stress is stress. So, like, that's generally what I see, is that it's a life stress impact at that point. If it's somebody I don't know, then I might not have the volumes and stresses and things like that worked out, and there might need to be a reduction in that rate, especially if their life is in order. So
you're saying pulling from the previous data, and if you don't have that, then just being a little bit more conservative.
Yeah,
right.
Go with
And I mean, and typically, like, the longer I coach, the more I realize, the more and more that I need to remember to check myself when I take somebody new on. I really have to remember, hey, man, build into it. Don't tear down from it.
Right.
It's always easier and better to build up.
Start lower and build up.
Than to start up here and be like, oh shit, that's too much. I gotta.
So what if the time to peak is 6 weeks and you're peaking into a meet and life stress, it does go up, like, and it's inevitable. Like, so what the scenario Brian's talking about, what if there is a deadline?
Right.
Like, I don't quite grasp because of just the assumption that, okay, it's life stress, but like, you can't always control that.
For sure. Absolutely.
So you just ride that.
I mean, I definitely, if it warrants if it's life stress significant, then it definitely warrants, we gotta make some changes and just reduce some downsets, peel some of the load off.
Yeah.
And also look at, okay, what else can we do to help recover from that life stress? Like, I'm big on the mental game, so I'm big on, like, a lot of different types of meditation and a lot of different types of passive recovery like that to help recover from that life stress, because we all do things to recover from our training, as far as whether it be massage, nutrition, things like that. But what are we doing to recover from life stress? Like, are you just stewing on it all day, or are you right? Are you gonna like meditate or do some other form of activity that helps you, like, relax?
Yeah. Ross, actually, I had a question for you, because I really do, like, I've definitely derived a lot of inspiration slash, have learned from emerging strategies that it supports some of the things that I've, recognized as a coach. Like, one of the things that, Marcella said about being like, you're analyzing the data, right? And it gives you the, like, that was it's an official framework that somebody established that, supports the idea, like, okay, we're going to keep writing out what's working. And along that same vein, like, one of the things we were just talking about is, like, people do have different sensitivities to the exercise selection, even the rep ranges. And I think a lot of people tend to get lost in, like, the tonnage or the poundage, when it can oftentimes, like, that total load is super misleading, because it's really not all created equal in terms of the stress response to it from the athlete. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't look at poundage or tonnage at all. It's completely irrelevant to me.
Right.
So then, so my question for you is, because the one thing about emerging strategies that I'm not super subscribed to is this concept of using previous times to peak to inform new information. Because what is your metric for, or I guess what is what are the variables involved in someone's new training that make you think, okay, this is going to be the same as previous ones? Like, are you running the same thing again? I know that you guys keep the volume fairly constant across microcycles during that strategy, because you're trying to find that time to peak. So if it's not identical, how do you have the confidence to say, oh, well, last prep, it took them 6 weeks to peak or 4 weeks to peak? Like, how do you know it's not going to be different this time around?
No, that's definitely a fantastic question. And I think one of the biggest things that we do to address that is we don't look at the volume or anything like that. We look at stress as it relates to RP, also central versus peripheral stress. Like, so peripheral being a bit more muscle based and central being a bit more nervous based. So by 1 at 9 is going to be obviously more central based than say by 10 at 9. They're going to have different responses. So like those are the things that you want to like generally keep the same as well. Like if you have a development cycle that is a 20 stress, again, as it relates to the RP, it's important to keep in mind whether it's central or peripheral based biased, or if it's evenly split and where that is, because changing that can have a response change. So for example, the person that I mentioned who I would peak into a meet with by 6 at 6, 7, 8. So he was very peripheral dominant, and anytime that central stress was increased, like the cycle would go to shit. And almost 1 to 2 weeks into his 8-week time to peak, it would be immediate, like, man, I'm beat up, I can't handle it.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So you're saying that for this lifter, it was more so his performance was more heavily swayed by the lower rep, high intensity sets. So you save that for.
He's saying you're going to be.
He just didn't touch.
No. But I'm saying you save that for comp. Like you use that as the.
That is the only.
Gotcha.
We touched.
Okay.
It's
on the platform.
Yeah.
Well, you were doing singles though.
Yeah, I was, but it was like one. Yeah, it was like one single a week, and then just like
It's
super.
a heavy single.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
His lifter didn't have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're running short on time. On that particular question, did you guys have any more topic or any more? Yeah.
Yes, because you asked, if I remember correctly, the question was basically, like, how long do you take to try something, basically, right? Before, so obviously it can depend on what it is. Because if I want someone to go from like say flats to heels, I can probably figure out that works for them a lot faster than if I had them go from conventional to sumo, because they have to learn like sumo technique. Generally speaking, I like about 3 blocks, so like about 12 weeks to try something, because that gives me enough time for them to, one, just get used to maybe whatever the technical changes are, whatever. And then we've got about 8 weeks from there to see, okay, how does he respond to this? How does he build off this? And I think that's just a good general time frame, because I mean, you can only know so much in 2 weeks. And then it's also a big important to let the athlete know, hey, I need you to be as consistent as you were these past 3 blocks with these variables. I need you to try to be just as consistent right now, because otherwise I don't know if this change was beneficial, or if it's because, oh, you're sleeping more or you're eating more. So it's important for the athlete to know that, hey, we're about to make this change. To the best of your ability, life happens, but I need you to try to control these same variables to the same level.
Well, also, it's like if you try something brand new when you're in a detrained state after a meet and you feel awful, and then you try to like switch to from really high heels to flats, it's like, well, it's going to feel awful regardless.
Yes. That's why.
So we wait till, I mean, wait till a good period that you have, probably not right before meet, but if you have a good COVID time right now, you don't have anything going on. Maybe if you during a volume phase, me and him talked about that with the flats thing. Is like sometimes you just try something like that, and for whatever reason, even if it the last couple times you tried it, it never clicked, and then sometimes it just happens, and you just feel it, and once you know, and athletes can tell you that too.
Yeah.
One thing to consider as well is that if you change, like, let's say from example, sumo to conventional or conventional to sumo, there's a little bit more stress on different muscles with each variation. So if the lifter hasn't performed said variation in who knows how long, I often find that they feel better because they haven't taxed those muscles to the point where they have with the previous variation. And they may say, oh, I think it's for me. But 4 weeks later, it's not.
Exactly.
I'm feeling it now, right? So I think I also abide by the 12-week rule with most of my athletes as well.
Just a nice little mini macro cycle.
Yeah.
So another reason I'm a big proponent of giving it enough time is to wash out the impact of fatigue, so you can compare similar conditions. Like if you, in like Chance, you said, like if you switch right after a meet, it's going to feel like trash, and it usually will. But you'll also see very rapid. Like if you change too frequently, of course, you're going to see this climb that's just proficiency related. That's not really.
Exactly.
So you want to give yourself enough time to let that kind of.
Do we have time or? Yeah. Okay. So we talked about like kind of these like interventions and overhauls, but one of the things that I was thinking about with reference to your question in terms of like what doesn't work is just the more technical part of it, which is the number of reps that somebody's doing, the volume that they're doing. So we all get to this point where we try to figure out, when writing a block, like what rep ranges make sense to be working during this time period. Where are we sitting at between like what we think is like the maximum adaptable volume that they can do and like what is the minimum to elicit a response, and sometimes it doesn't go your way, and for like some of these big technical overhauls, I think it might make sense to let fatigue dissipate, figure out where your body is supposed to be when you're switching a pair of shoes, or how to technically cue yourself for a different variation of the lift if you're switching to sumo. But I think a lot of times people on the other side of the coin kind of overuse like the trust the process phase, where you're running something for like 12, 16 weeks and it's like, dude, it's just not fucking working.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. And it's like
the equivalent of like the body.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah. Yeah.
There just have to be a willingness.
Don't take my
Yeah.
notes.
And that's why I think establishing that time frame is important. Like, let your athlete know, hey, after like 12 weeks, if this isn't working, we're done with it. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh well, no, it hasn't happened yet, but just give it a little bit. Like, no, like come to some type of agreement, because if you don't, that can also hurt the trust between you and your athlete. Sure. And I don't think people think about that.
Absolutely.
I think when it comes to like the big three, like assuming we're talking strictly about like the volume and the training related stress, assuming the technical aspects of the lifts are taken care of, it doesn't take as long as like the trust the process people think for an adaptation to take place. Like it's a lot shorter. Like if you start doing something, maybe the first 2 weeks, like it might take some time for either fatigue to dissipate if you brought volume down overall, maybe like something like going from the low rep to high rep deadlifts, you might just be more gassed from like a muscular standpoint. But like 3-4 weeks, it's usually like, all right, if it's working, we're gonna start to see some daylight here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to wait for the end and then open the door and check on it.
Right.
And that's and
halfway down the rabbit hole and run into the dead end wall.
And that's
peek around the corner and be like, God, let's get out of here. There's a snake down there.
And that's why it's like it's really good to plan, but I think it's also a bad thing to over plan, because if you have this idea where you're like, we're gonna run this for an 8-week mesocycle and then we're gonna do this the next one, it's like you're 4 weeks in and the athlete feels like garbage. Like the people who over plan and are very type A about things are gonna be like, well, we gotta finish this, and it's like, no, you really don't.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
That's why I think it's good to adjust from block to block. Like if a macro cycle is 6 blocks or whatever, cool. But at the end of each block, you talk shop and you with the client, hey, how's this going? It's not working. Okay, let's switch this out for something else. Make those adjustments. Yeah.
So we've got time for one more question. I'm going to switch us from the physical to the mental a little bit, and I'd love to ask you guys kind of about advice for new athletes, for people starting off. But I know you guys are giving these kind of tired responses to things, and I'm going to talk about mental toughness instead, because mental toughness is kind of this like enduring quality that seems to help high level athletes, which you guys are all high level athletes, kind of get through some of these lows and stuff like that. So I want to ask you guys what mental toughness is to you, and are there kind of teachable moments, or how do you kind of teach this intangible concept to lifters to make them the champions that you guys all are?
I think mental toughness for me, a lot of times when I look at a training session that's going to be fucking brutal, like, all right, I look at it, I know it's brutal. I'm not going to look at it from a totality standpoint anymore. Now I got to know that I need to break it down to one set at a time. And then at the end of the day, I get through it and I'm like, all right, now I can look back at it as a totality and be like, all right, cool. I can do this. I can sustain this, whether under whatever conditions. Like, for me, being a northerner moving to the south, like that tested me big time. Like I've never sweated so grotesquely in my life. Like there's sessions
you teach those skills. So you've had kind of some personal experience. You've gone through the fire. Do you put your athletes through tests? Do you give them words? Kind of how do you? It's really the question.
I think I try to look at where their breakdown is, like where they're losing that faith in the process. And if it's looking at like a broad scale, like I'm not going to keep well for this meet. Like if they're sabotaging, the following week because they're worried about, the meet that's 2 months away, I mean, that's an issue. But what Ross said, like just teaching them like you can. There's really no other option but to be process oriented. Like just taking it like everything is manageable in isolation, and then once you start doing that, you build momentum. Then like stay ahead of it. The broad scale doesn't seem nearly as intimidating.
Right. So what I like to do really is something that I actually learned during my undergraduate studies. It's called the health belief model, where you're basically the intrinsic belief that you as a person basically are the dictator of your choices, your actions, etc., not so much your environment. And I know that can be kind of, extreme for some people, but because of that concept, I ask revealing questions to all of my athletes, right? Whether it's daily, weekly on the check-ins or at the end of the block when we're talking shop. If you ask the right revealing questions for each athlete, each individual one is obviously going to be different, meaning like you might ask them, it could be as simple as, okay, so what were you doing? How were you, what were you thinking? How were you feeling going into this particular session? Maybe it was, to cap off the block, we're going to do an AMRAP, we're going to do a heavy single, whatever the case be. Asking those self-revealing questions can help the individual almost review what they're doing prior to, let's say, a successful session. Even maybe one, I know you don't call them bad days, right? But a session that doesn't go according to plan. Well, then if you ask the right question, you can learn something from that. And if you learn from that, then you adapt. And if you adapt, I think that the possibilities, it just expands from that point. The biggest thing, right? Because the biggest thing for me, if I can, give as far as a suggestion or advice, on a daily basis, if you can do one thing right, it'll snowball over to other things.
It's about.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, and that'll carry you over on a weekly basis, monthly basis, and so on and so forth.
It's encouraging to find what is productive on a specific day, take that and use that as momentum forward. Because like if you're injured or you've been out of it because the shutdowns and all that kind of stuff, it's hard to get momentum. And just building one day at a time, it's so simple. It really is. And using that to springboard the rest of it is,
I think what you all have in common is really just about perception.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I tell people all the time, it's like perception does not change reality. Like it doesn't change what's happening in actuality, but it does dictate how you're going to respond to it. So what I try to do with my athletes with their mental toughness, it's not even about just telling them, hey, just go get through the session and that'll be worth it. Because the thing is, if an athlete doesn't want to do a session, right? But they go in, they force themselves to do it, and they feel even worse afterwards. Was that really a win just because they did it? So it's more about like your perception of, okay, yeah, this happened, but what can we learn from it? What can we gain from it? I think that's what really mental toughness. It's not just because you're allowed to feel upset. You're allowed to be you're allowed to be angry. I've sucked sometimes. 2020 has sucked for most of us at some point, right? But it's about like, okay, but what's the silver lining? Like I let my ass say, hey, what you feel is valid. I'm not gonna validate that. Let you feel it. But now, how can we shift our perception to gain something from this so we can keep it going? Because it's gonna happen again. Like I let my athletes know you're never gonna be at a point where no matter how good things have been for like 99 days straight, where that 100th day, if it goes wrong, you're not gonna be bothered by it on some level. Like you'll get better to where it doesn't beat you up as much, but you're always gonna be upset on some level. So that perception shift.
Get better at dealing with it.
Exactly.
Time, those extremes divert even more, so your highs get higher.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I think because of that, because that's something I have athletes, and it's funny because I think a lot of times we have these younger athletes who like people think you have to humble them, but I have a lot of young athletes where I have to uplift them because they expect so much of themselves to where when one little thing goes wrong, like the other day I had an athlete where he just hit a 3-rep PR on bench, right? And it was great. But because his technique wasn't quite what he wanted, he hit the rack a few times, he was upset about it and critiquing himself. And I said, hey, man, you know what? That's all true. That's all things can work on. I'm like, but bro, think about it. In spite of you hitting the rack, in spite of that technique, you just hit a 3-rep max PR. So how much better is it going to be once we get it cleaned up? And he's like, oh, yeah, that's true. Like, so things like that, I think perception is everything.
I think it's important what you're saying and hitting on. You also have to validate the experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't tell them, oh man, it's not that big of a deal. No, because to them it is.
Yeah. But when you look at the bigger picture of, say, if you're training with higher frequency, and I think me and you, Dr. Miner, everybody, we talk about like if you're squatting 3 times a week,
the chances of one of them being awful,
it's gonna exactly.
It
Plan for
could very well easily happen.
Yeah,
and
especially if one of them's really good.
Right,
Exactly.
That's really just the ranges. There's going to the stronger you get, the higher the ranges on the upside, and then downside, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
It's just part of it.
And that's just
One
where
of-
explaining what each day is for is
Mhm.
important. Let them know, hey, this is your strong day, this is volume day, this is your hey, you're just trying to get him to move around day.
Yeah.
Don't expect to hit PRs. Yeah.
You know, one of the things, and you had mentioned the highs getting higher and the lows getting lower. It's funny because one of the things I was going to say was that, to me, like the mental toughness, to me, mental toughness is the concept of like not taking the highs too high or the lows too low. And that's something that like my high school baseball coach used to say, that really stuck with me because I think that for a lot of people, the reason they don't perceive themselves as mentally tough and get discouraged, or we don't perceive them as being mentally tough. The way that I like to reference it is their scope is so zoned in where it's like if you were looking at a graph, right, like a really volatile graph. When you're living life, you are moving from data point to data point every second of your life. So you take a big spike, you're like, oh shit, I felt that felt really good, and then you plummet down and you feel that. So I think that adjusting your scope and bringing it out, and like you said, being process oriented, it's like if you zoom that scope out and see that the trend line is positive, it's like you become less affected by the volatility. I think being resilient to the trend itself, positive, negative, hopefully positive, but acknowledging the trend from a broader scope.
You tell them to look at the lowest baseline and then it increasing over the course of 6 weeks. If your worst day is down here and then we're getting closer to the meet and you had an awful day again, it's really bad. And objectively, they feel like or subjectively, they feel like it's awful. And to them it is, right? We're gonna agree with that. But compared to like the performance, it's way up here.
It's like your worst days better than what your old best days used to be.
I was just about to say that. Like, you just tripled what used to be like
your max. Yeah, your max. Exactly.
It's triple.
Exactly.
One of the things that I wanted to add to this, sorry to cut anybody off, but we're talking about like a bunch of like really good ideas and like, this is the philosophy of it. But I think from like a practical standpoint, there also needs to be other ways to impart this and have the athlete actually do it. And one of the things that we didn't really mention that I think is valuable is like get your athletes to like read more books and watch inspiring people talk.
Yeah.
Like I think having like a reference, like, one of the people that obviously everybody knows is like David Goggins. It's like you watch like somebody who is like really inspiring and really resilient, and you look for somebody who like fills the gaps of what you're trying to be, and you're trying to figure out like, how do I behave like that? Like if you find somebody who's had similar experiences to you and you hear them talk, I think it's really inspiring for a lot of people to have somebody that they relate to and look up to. And it's like, if you read or watch people give talks, seminars, whatever it might be, like, I think that has a really profound effect on a lot of people's mindset versus just living in your own, pity bubble sometimes, where you're like, my situation is uniquely bad and everything is terrible for me. And then you
all watch lifters that we want to emulate from a technique standpoint. Same is true from a mental standpoint. That mental toughness.
And then one last thing, find other things that you are looking forward to today outside of your training. I think that's huge. And a lot of people take that as like, oh, don't take your training seriously. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying when you find other things that you enjoy, you won't feel as upset about things not going the way you want the session. Mentality will be better into the next session, and you'll push it that much harder.
That's exactly what Sean's saying, where you just kind of narrow that gap between the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're not reacting necessarily like in an emotional way to those highs and lows. And I think that pays off. We're talking on a larger scale from training session to training session over the course of years. But I think that pays off also in a meet that's 9 lifts. And you might hit a massive squat PR and waste a bunch of time and energy and effort celebrating that squat PR. And then like bench maybe doesn't go as well. And it's these huge swings that a lifter ends up feeling over the course of 2 hours. That
we get better at it.
You have to just kind of refine that into one, like just this narrower path.
After 10 years of training, you get better at doing that just organically.
Sure.
But
managing that emotional stress.
Yeah.
All right, so it's interesting listening to this because like you guys touched on so many of like the coping resources that I've read about in the research on mental toughness, and it was like really refreshing kind of hearing that. And I really like in practice some of all of you guys, like how to reframe situations from your bad situation to good, even though nothing actually changed. You're able to kind of change how you view the situation, and that's super important. So I want to end up with what I should have started off with. That's to have you guys introduce yourself. Go around, introduce yourself, and where people can find you.
My name is Brian Miner. I am on Instagram at BD Miner.
My name's Sean Noriega. I'm on Instagram at Hamstring Poppy, and YouTube just Sean Noriega.
My name's Marcellus Williams. I'm on Instagram at the Swolefessor and YouTube the Swolefessor. That's right.
Yeah.
Chance Mitchell at Chance Mitchell PBC and pbccoaching.com.
I'm Natalie Hansen at natalie.907 and corpusstrength.co.
Rodrigo Manzo, nutrition and dietetics, bachelor's degree, future registered dietitian, 66 kg national champ, and you can find me at greaterhumanperformance.com.
I'm Ross Lepla, and you can find me on Instagram, Ross_TS.
Okay.
Nice.
My name is Bryce. I've been your host. Thank you guys so much. And we're gonna disappear for just a little bit. We're gonna play some Jeopardy after this.
Ooh.
All right.
So don't go anywhere.
Ugh.
Oh.
All right. So we're going to let these guys filter off. We're going to bring in the rowdy crew that you guys have been listening to for a while. If you guys enjoyed that conversation, you thought that the information was worthwhile, you can show it to the coaches by donating. Remember, we're doing this for a good reason. We're doing this for a good cause. And you guys have an opportunity right now to, I promise, I will personally let each and every one of those coaches know how much you appreciated the information that they shared via your donations. I do want to say thank you very much for A Badger for the $15 donation. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't switch the camera fast enough. You guys got a little extra love there. You know what? Yeah, that should be paid content behind a content wall. Stop being stingy. You guys got a free kiss out of that. Get in here. Will donations still be open tomorrow? They will. They will. Hopefully we'll get the NAACP link up and running because today they weren't open for the first half. But we're trying. This is your chance. We don't talk about that, Jackie. That was a dark moment in my life. Oh, man. We're going to have Jeopardy going on next. We have a little bit of an adjustment process and period that needs to take place. You guys can lead us over into that with your donations if you want. Powerlifting Jeopardy. Everybody got all pre-funked out in the parking lot talking about a bunch of stuff. $100 is $100. Oh, it's closer to $600. How dare. How about this? I promise not to ban you for using the S word in this chat if you donate $10 right now for suicide prevention. You can get behind that. Gonna hide the incentives over there. You can go ahead and see everybody filtering in. Everyone's so excited, ready to go. This is Jeopardy, which is also going to be sponsored by Virus. I'm going to switch places with you, and we're ready to.
I'm out there.
You're out there.
Be the one next to you this time.
Okay.
I'm the host this time.
Okay. Oh. Sarah! No, Sarah, no. Sarah! The donation reward's still going. If you guys have specific incentives that are still live. Oh gosh, do you want to ammonia bomb somebody right now? You totally could. We'd let it happen. I wouldn't even feel bad about it, Gabby. Go ahead. $25. $25 to make someone's night infinitely more interesting. Hanks, welcome on in.
If it doesn't die, we'll see.
Did your dono go? I did not see it. I'm refreshing. Hey, 1069. Oh, I'm not reading the rest of that. You dirty bird. Award a bronze medal to Bryce Lewis. Sarah, get the bronze medal out of the case and give give that to Bryce. What do the medal things mean? You get a medal. Is there a way to post up? Yes, but right now they're all inaccurate. Because they're down here. And obviously, I'm not doing all those extra things.
That was donated, and nice. No problems.
There you go. You guys can hear him now.
Third place.
Woo!
Yeah.
Would you like me to unmute their mic already?
Yeah, you can unmute their mic.
All right.
You can talk them through. I'm gonna pull up the Jeopardy stuff.
No, I think you're just literally built
All
there.
right, I'm gonna get rid of our second camera
Well,
here.
I'm like, I can't handle no environment.
I guess they're useless because you actually train in a hoodie. And
There we go. Thank you again, Mayhar, for $10.69, and then thank you, Butch, for the $20 and ammonia bomb for Jasmine.
Don't worry, I promise not to be mean to you if I.
Because I feel bad. I like Jasmine. She's sweet. Oh, that was. I'm sorry, Gabby. Gabby with the ammonia bomb for Jasmine, not Butch. And then Natalie should wrap knees. Because that's still active apparently.
And then some of them do have like little tricks
Yeah.
to them kind of like
Right. Bryce is going to come and switch in. I'm going to switch you guys over to them.
Actually, buzz in just
for a second.
Enjoy hearing him talk.
Do you have
We'll be
teams?
back
Or
in a
just
bit.
doing like separate.
Okay.
Don't know. It should be. Yeah, there's no chance we're gonna be like.
Hey, Jasmine.
Oh!
Bombs in money.
I'm surprised you didn't still. You got this.
No, you and then you have to take a big snip like this. It's from
I sort of cried.
Let me close
No, she's watching. She's watching right now.
She's watching right now.
See if you can beat showing.
I'm pretty sure that's not terms of service.
Video, and obviously we don't condone physical violence in any any subsidiary companies associated with or anything else attached to it.
I walked down Ben Rice, Lord of Terms of Service.
No, you're gonna be.
Good night.
It's part of the dream.
Let's do it, Jazz. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You got it. You got it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Take it, Excel. I'm out. She's flying back.
A little bit extra for one
Oh
nostril.
my God.
And the other
Yo, Gabby is getting. I'm scared. Yeah, I'm scared.
No.
I'm scared. No,
To download like a
So there's a team.
Oh, there's teams. Oh, what are the teams?
What? Yeah, where did
Are we just
Split
dividing
6
marks?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ends with you.
Okay, so yeah, so y'all are a team, we're a team.
Buzz. Okay, let's go. Okay.
You wanna give your photo?
what
is it?
Marcella.
Yeah, what are we down?
A buzz sound.
Just any sort of sound.
We still have to say what is,
who is.
She's so much.
Who is?
God.
I'm coming for you, Gabby.
Why does this need a link?
Oh,
Why does this have ads? Well, that's
I'm strength, like
No, like,
And I
That's not a
That's too
buzzer.
slow.
Yeah.
That's a buzzer.
Okay,
So,
but
like,
it looks like an old app.
Just download like the air horn app.
Goodness, like
Yeah.
2005. Yeah, there you go. There.
Air.
It's a buzzer.
Is there like an air horn or something loud?
It has like multiple sounds, so
Perfect.
I literally thought I was not leaving from my face.
No, not that.
Are we ready to? I think I literally lost. Do we have scissors over here? Anyways?
Almost,
I don't think the
yeah.
buses are gonna be loud enough.
Let's see.
really don't.
It's like an air horn. Like an air horn app.
Any whatever ones you want to
Just scream. Ah! Is that what
Oh, that's
Me!
That's good, yeah.
That's
That's
probably
your
Can you just scream?
No.
Sub 6.
That's right.
That works. The
There we
first
go.
one.
The first one.
Ours is better.
It's volume on the
Alright. Not knowledge to bet. Come on.
It's our turn.
Oh,
She's got
big brain.
Oh, 8 classes. Fair.
CPAP's in the.
Fair.
Okay, first is no big classes in the jungle. Second is found in quotation, so you'll find the words LB in the answer. The letters. Next category, the future is female. Social media clouds.
That's not really excuse me.
Do very not
It's balance. It's balance.
Those are not.
Yeah, those are not the
categories.
categories. I feel lied to. I like to be reimbursed.
I like these.
can't see you around. Oh, Gabby messaged me back. She said, "I'm gonna get your ass take for charity."
I'm gonna kill you when I get back to you. In a video game.
Gabby.
And she got the perfect opportunity. I'm sitting right here in front of the.
Maybe thought that she like told you because like really it could be surprise.
Just random, yeah.
Sneak attack situation.
Like what Bryce did with Sam.
With the shaking bottles.
Imagine if she would have sneak attacked Jasmine. That would be
also be because I would have been swinging.
You don't need that. And then the stream would get taken down because
You lean back and just hit your head against.
That or gains a lot of money.
try one more time.
Nice. All right, there we go.
And just for reference, I'll take a picture because you know. Just
Wait, how are we buzzing in?
Like, do you just hold it here and then like everyone?
Just have like the
people.
fastest.
Should we just get order? Yeah, like
We could do like 1v1s and then have it on the table and whoever.
Well, we could take turns, like kind of like we did for Family Feud.
That's what I'm thinking.
But someone has to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
no,
Two
like
people buzzing, whoever
I
buzzes.
team holds one, beep whoever buzzes.
That's kind of hard.
Oh, so just take turns then.
Then you'll both be delayed if you're like
Is this meant to be like a team answer thing or
Yeah.
a one?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, then it doesn't matter. So
Yeah, because you can just tell.
Okay,
the
well,
person
yeah,
to
just
buzz
buzz.
in.
in your team.
They just buzz.
So
in.
then,
Wouldn't you just have to give the answer?
that's what it is.
So that's on me having thumbs.
But someone's going to know the answer if it's like.
Isn't it on Jeopardy? You have like 5 seconds after
Yeah.
you buzz to answer.
You want-
So
you
if you
want
don't answer
to do
within
it
5
first?
seconds, you
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
So
I barely know this show.
I'm the answer in the form of a question, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what is?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody remember how long? Nope.
usually the champion starts, but there's no champion. So
Flip a coin. Oh,
see.
Yeah, there we go. I say we go by total.
I was gonna say I see more national champion than this.
Well, if you start to point your face at that thing and tell it that's
What?
Okay.
That's an exam.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter. We can just start with whichever.
Okay, we'll start.
Yeah, we'll start. There we go. We're asking the advantage. So.
What category are we on, guys?
You go ahead and pick one.
All right, let's do. We're gonna go the Rise of Raw for 200.
Rise of Raw for 200. This man was the first IPF Raw World Champion in the United States.
Don't touch it.
2014?
Belarus was the 7th.
Belarus was the 7th, or you were at 20.
5 seconds.
Who is Ellis McClain?
What is that?
Alex McClain.
Before my
Wasn't. If they
Wait
were-
a second. We would have not.
That's
No, because it's like whoever selects it, that whoever buzzes in first.
No, they already said the answer.
Wrong answer.
Yeah.
Technically.
Oh, it actually. So wasn't.
Unless, what
So
are you
he
doing?
picked it, but what? Shouldn't anybody been able to? Everybody could have buzzed in for that.
You've got to be.
Scott, so one of us knows this. Who is
Sarah.
this?
Yes, Sandy. You did really.
And then second question, what's your favorite?
Give me the
Oh, you can guess ours? Oh, Mango, please. Thank you.
Was it activated?
Are you immune? She's enjoying her.
Oh no! Someone called me. She enjoys it. So strong. Just stares at the camera. Is this what you wanted?
Yeah, no.
We're gonna follow him.
So the songs we got up here.
I'll just take the blueberry. Thank you.
So,
Thank
did
you.
you do it?
Nice.
Shit out of the closet.
I want to guess.
Shake it up just really a bit.
Where you are.
Hang on.
That one hit different. You shook that one up.
This is not sad. Oh, God. These are all the people that did you do?
Okay, but now we know. So they get to pick, but anyone can buzz. Anyone can buzz.
Anyone can buzz in.
Okay.
If the other team gets it wrong, then you have a chance to buzz in, but you're also risking losing points. So you don't buzz in if you don't know the answer.
Got it.
Isn't there like a time limit total? Like if neither one of us answers, it just
Yes,
fizzles.
then
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'm being a little lenient on the time here, but
Got it.
all right.
Cool.
Since you guys have an answer, pick another. Okay.
Okay, let's do.
They gave it what they gave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do no weight classes in the jungle for 100 and stars.
Right. This man is the heaviest man to squat over 400 kilos raw with no rest.
Yes. So we just guess.
The heaviest
Then we
man
lose.
squats 400 kilos.
They should have lost points.
You can wait till they see if they answer no.
If he knows. Can you lose points?
Yeah. if you
Yeah.
get-
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like minus 300,
When I
right?
count to 10,
I don't want to answer. Let's not answer. So I'm out.
6.
Answer.
Is it Jezza Uwepa?
You guys say who?
Who is Jezza Uwepa?
It's not. Would you guys like to?
No, thank you.
No,
We'll take their negative points.
And the answer is.
If it's Ray Williams, dude.
Oh, that was the most.
I said it knew.
Yeah, why don't we think about
Ray
that?
Williams.
How much did Jeff say?
You guys didn't answer.
Is that worse?
Yep.
Dang, we're winning, bro. Yeah.
Okay.
Go get that buzz.
Yeah, we.
Yeah,
Okay. We'll do social media clap for 100.
Let's get back to you.
All right.
Keep in mind the questions don't change in terms of difficulty.
The most popular female powerlifter in this.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we gotta wait till they
Wait, why? Wait. Is it? Can we answer?
Yeah, he's buzzed.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we buzzed. Yeah, we buzzed.
Who is Meg Squats?
No.
What, dude? What did you answer? Hey, but you have the.
Yeah, who's Steffi Cookman?
All right. And next. I thought it was something. You were like, oh. Wait, that guy's only 100 though. It's fine. Okay.
All right.
You didn't even answer though, right?
Please. Social media clout for 300.
Yeah. Most viral lift on Kino list for 2019 was this beltless deadlift. A.
What the?
So if you do a hit, it was 5.
What's it?
Wait,
where's that going?
What? Whoa, what?
Where is Jessica Butner?
Yeah.
Oh,
Canadian.
525.
She's
let's take a hell.
What?
Fucking easy card.
And he was roasting me.
You're roasting me, right?
See you guys.
These are pretty fun.
Yo, you love them.
Should we just do?
Arthur.
100.
No.
We'll do Rise of Raw for 100.
100.
Got it.
Raw World Championship held this year.
I don't.
Yeah.
2012. Oh, what is 2012?
Incorrect.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Wait, I didn't say what it is.
Yes.
So we can say not playing.
You got.
I thought it was.
Kamala, right?
Let's just leave it. We're not gonna answer.
All right. So answer is.
2013.
That's okay. It's I didn't want to risk losing it.
All right. You.
Oh, that's one of Raw.
Last one. So congratulations.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Social media clout for 200.
All right. This brand is the most popular exclusive brand geared towards strength athletes.
Wait.
No.
Go. Can we go? Strength.
Not like
Go,
equipped
wait,
here, but like.
Wait, we just.
Yeah, that's their market. No, sorry.
What is SBD?
No.
Oh.
What is Gymshark?
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like Gymshark is like true.
Oh.
What?
That's
You guys have on some.
Is that how you spell donuts?
Is that spelled?
How is
Sure.
That can't be right.
So it's general
It said clothing. I understand, but it's just a clothing brand, is what they said.
Yeah, it's like his clothes.
Well,
Just-
that's
See, I would even argue virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That canceled SPD and then
Gymshark is like an 8-figure company.
It's fitness, just general fitness.
Just would be like.
Virus.
Okay.
Virus.
Virus.
I think virus is more recent.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
All
Let's
right.
go.
No, right.
We can mix it. These are all trick questions.
We got a break here. We have on one.
Here's the question.
That's not us. We'll play it too. No way.
Yeah.
No. They probably buy from. Yeah, we're player two. Yeah, there's no way
They're losing.
Yeah, they're losing hella.
All right, you go. Okay.
What? Yeah, we're better. But
Yeah, but they got some big ones.
we lost like a 100.
Okay, hybrids for 100.
All right, hybrids for 100. Originally touted to have the potential to take down Ray Williams, this man won 3 20 euros.
Who is the question's not done. Question's not done. Answer right.
You gotta wait till it's done.
Won the 20 Europe strongest man in his first appearance.
Who is
Richardson?
Richardson?
Why was that over ours though?
We both first. It was first.
Okay.
I thought you buzzed it before.
Wait, no. They didn't lose. We gained.
Sorry. It was negative.
It was negative. It was now
Wait,
Pick another category. Or another.
Wait, I'm so confused.
Yeah, I'm confused too. We were ahead.
No, you weren't, because you guys got like the 500 wrong, or the 400 wrong. You got the 100 wrong.
Yeah.
So you guys are just like a lot.
Okay.
Whatever. Right. Can we do the lady?
Yeah. You want? Yeah, sure.
For this is the youngest female lifter ever to squat 500 pounds raw. That one girl.
Who is Mahalia?
Yes. All right. Team effort. Team effort, right? He's got to keep coming back.
That's not sarcastic.
Got it.
I didn't know that was.
I think.
Oh, she's crazy.
Yeah, see,
They just
they
gave
are doing
us those
points wrong.
That's
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
That's why I know it's
just gave us those points.
See, I know it's been up because they weren't negative.
No,
we were not that much. Yeah.
We'll just rewatch the stream and then just do it.
If we're gonna win, we're gonna win right.
Yeah.
Another
They can do the points.
situation. This time, you two have to feed sour strips to each other. Originally, they said "lady in the trance" style, but
Hold on.
just holding.
Can we stick by the
They're gonna cross hands and feed each other. It's for charity.
Oh
Man, I need these points.
these points are messed
Thank
up.
you, Jackie.
They were
This is
giving
gonna be amazing.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Y'all are cute.
Yeah, I know it. Here we go.
I knew this.
So we got this.
No, that's right. That's correct. That's what I was
Oh, you
saying.
said that, so you can't kill
I
yourself.
knew it. Yeah. So we're playing. I knew it.
Oh, this Wait, let me at least finish this now.
This is gonna be.
Ricky, I got you.
I want to see Lady.
I'm sorry.
You should go to bed. Not gonna steal it.
Promise. Just hurry up. Sure. I'm about to go.
Yeah.
Must go out.
You
got 5, 4, 3. Okay. Relax my leg a little bit.
All right, where do we decide next?
Back to Jeff.
Next,
What do we do next, guys?
Oh, that's funny, dude. Let's keep it the small ones. Yeah. See what pound
Let's do pound for 100.
pound for 100. You may have to get this removed if you have a sharp pain in your stomach and you are turning and yellow.
In my ear.
What is? You have to say what is.
I don't know. What is it?
What is?
Why does that what it was?
Oh, good.
How much time do they have left?
What's it called?
Yeah. Oh. Have it be in there. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Well. Yeah.
Oh.
It has to have
You killed it. Let's go. Finally.
Yeah.
Should we just go for the 500? Just go for it, dude.
If we're gonna catch up, that's that.
We gotta go for 500.
That's 4.
Oh.
We can miss it.
Can we talk real quick?
Yeah.
Game plan. Oh my god.
The answer.
I think it was a prize, so you just.
No, okay, never mind. Okay.
All right. So yeah.
We do social media for 500, please.
She would pick that.
The most up post on our powerlifting is a 65-year-old woman lifting 325 pounds in this event.
I think I was 64-year-old. Think about that.
This is Fiona, one of the 3.
Wait.
64-year-old guys.
You've got a 33% chance.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Should we just do it? Just guess. Just guess.
What is squat?
I
Alright, cool.
It was not a trick question. I know.
So Thompson, exactly, yeah.
Guys.
Hey.
Should we just finish?
Yeah,
let's finish Cloud. Cloud for 400.
That was a good. I was about to.
Yeah, 50-50. Yeah, that's 50-50.
These are the 6 categories for your user for our powerlifting on Reddit. I'm out.
You're the only one on.
I don't know what a flare is.
Yeah, but I it's been I don't use flare. I'm just
You chose some hard questions.
So a flare
It's definitely not that. It's really leave it for others.
designate a certain thing next to your name.
No, so don't use.
Nobody gets it.
It's
Not.
No.
It's like a different kind of.
Male or female, your total, your weight class, Wilks points or Fed points, whatever, your federation.
That, but that goes all into one flare though.
6.
Like, because I thought they meant 6 different flares to choose from.
Oh, they're all in the same flare.
That's the thing. That's one flare.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, we didn't. Yeah. Okay. Either way. Oh well.
Okay, so we go again.
Yes.
No weight class.
No weight classes for 200.
No weight classes for 200. Nathan Baptist claims the heaviest squat ever recorded on open powerlifting with this weight.
Gotta be specific.
Oh shit.
How ahead are we?
Nathan Baptist.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
He's a multi. Is he a bigger?
Oh, well, that's definitely no clue.
Next. 580.
Wait, how much is that in pounds? 200. 1,300?
It's like,
Yeah, 1,300.
Huh.
all right, next question.
Let's do futures female for 200.
This is the only female athlete to win open field brawl worlds in the World Games in 1 year.
No.
Who is Bonica Brown?
I'm so glad you passed.
What do we want?
Hybrids.
Hybrids for
We'll do
200?
hybrids for 200.
This is the thing. This is the only athlete to have medaled at both World Games powerlifting and the Olympics in weightlifting.
Wait, I'm pressing the top. Who is Wei Ling Chen?
Correct.
Yes.
Is that the name?
Oh,
I understand.
what are we talking?
I think I should go for the big man. Try to catch up.
That didn't work out so well last time. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it.
This cold beer in a can. Can I say? What is that? What? 24 ounces of ice cold beer and.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because they think one could really pass. What the hell?
What's that called?
I don't know.
Nobody? Next, what is the ball boy?
My body's
No.
cool. Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
I want to try Rise and Beyond.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's okay.
Wait, we're losing. We need the.
Yeah, we need
to get back.
You might find this medicine captain.
Drugs.
Is this LB?
Me.
Oh.
You think so?
Yeah. Press it. Say it.
What is ibuprofen?
No,
What is Stefan Bauman?
What? What's a pill box? Yeah.
I feel like specific drug, not like yeah.
Robert, sit down.
Shit.
It's happened almost silent.
No.
No?
I don't know, for some reason I thought there was.
No, bro.
I'll be 400.
Man, they just.
The protagonist of your favorite classic fantasy album.
Classic.
So it's your.
That could be like.
It's not.
Give me. No. Oh, LB.
Louis Huckleberry Finn.
No.
I don't know.
LB. Oh, wait, what's.
I'm not going to.
No, give us.
Yeah,
Oh, how much time do we got?
Let's just let them do. Just let us.
Y'all want to answer?
Just let them do.
Yeah, no, we're fine.
Bill Barrett.
I was. We said it was very fast. Like, what? It makes sense. Well, I think that's more. No.
They should.
No, score is right. You should be negative. You should be negative. It was negative 800. So their team is negative 800.
But why don't you put us less then?
I'll just. We're good.
Player 1 is negative 800.
Does it really matter? Y'all are good.
Yeah.
Okay.
500 for Elvin.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Wait, are we not changing?
What kind of mad I'm gonna be?
UC Musgraves won this, the most coveted Grammy Award.
LB. No. Who is Casey Musgraves?
Just think about, you don't even have to know that, really.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
The Grammys at the Grammys.
If we do, we're still winning. So.
I'd like
I
to
think album of the year.
Yeah, it was 800 person.
Yeah. Please give us some points, please.
Yeah.
And take it. Yo, let's go.
I just randomly thought about that.
Yeah, that was great.
No. Negative 300.
Negative 300.
Negative 300.
I'm coming back, baby.
Yeah. We'll just remember it for now.
Yeah.
We're new.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. What do we want next?
Redeem ourselves for the future. Try rising. Let me go ahead and just write down. So
I feel like
Hey, Canada.
Yeah, we'll do a Rise of the Wall for 300 on.
This is a Raw for 300. SPD, the dominant sponsor of many Raw athletes, is manufactured in this county.
I should know this. County?
T.
Yeah. County or
Oh my.
this country. Is it a province?
Sorry, City County.
You don't want to guess?
I think you do want to guess, John.
No, you guys guess first.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Y'all don't believe in your teammate, and I think that's really just. Where's Never heard of it.
Choose again.
Right. You did.
We'll take the same one for 400.
I should have studied for this.
Rise of the Wall.
Should have been doing that. Say your college work.
This man is the lightest to ever total 2,000 pounds in seas.
Who is John Hack?
Right.
Yeah.
What? I was gonna say him. That's not true.
Yeah,
He did it at 181.
Yeah, that's.
Norris didn't do it at 181.
Yeah, that's wrong.
It's probably USA. Okay, I was like, yeah, ours is actually correct. I want to. Thank you.
Whoever wins this, you don't get me.
Pride. Pride, dude. I get pride. I get to tell Pug, even though I don't have to total him, I beat him at something. What do we want?
Should we just finish it off?
Yeah, let's finish off the Rise of Raw for 500.
Rise of Raw. Before Raw came to do, in 2011, this woman lifted the highest total ever at 730 views.
Who? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is Leanne Blinn? Pretty sure it's Taylor out. No, play. Oh, Raw.
What?
God damn it.
Sean got it wrong. Raw.
Nah, we don't.
No, they don't need that one.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have just USA people here?
I don't know.
This is not limited to USA people, alright.
Well, that's the first mistake.
I got trigger happy there.
That's fine. Nah, it's cool.
Okay.
Alright.
Hybrids 3.
Hybrids 300. Yeah. No, you're definitely at negative 300 still. Don't worry. I got
yeah, we're not too bad.
This pro
Buzz. Oh wait till she.
This pro bodybuilder won the Olympia and
Olympia.
and placed in the top 20 at USAPL Brown
No.
So wait until it's Hey, who is there? No. So did you guys. You got the last one.
But not this round. We leave it in the net.
All right, what is it, guys? Who is Daniel Bailey? You came to the last one. Come on.
Yeah.
Your three is they're winning. Exactly. It's for charity, guys. That's for charity. It doesn't matter.
Win. We'll take our 300.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You guys just say this.
Hybrid's 400.
All
That's so
strong. Oh, because I want to do it.
Oh wait.
Did
you basically just that just to make a joke?
That's a
flex. You're doing it now.
I don't know if it's working.
I don't think it's a step. No, we're fine. We'll be fine.
Wait, what's the answer?
Oh. God, I should have known
that. I'll say stepping out the pocket, but yeah, sure.
Story of my life.
We dropped to 300?
Yeah, because we lost 4.
No. Sorry.
It's okay.
It really
Future is female 300.
Requires women to squat over 600 pounds in the IPF. Can be raw or equipped.
Yeah, I'm not touching.
The lightest?
This man's gonna say sexy.
I'll tell you that she is to them. He did it.
No, it's anything. Where's Naya?
Say it.
Who is Monique?
Good shot.
Nice.
I said it.
You said it. So
Wait.
I
Did it.
Good.
Instagram. Who is the lightest?
Here we go.
Please. Not.
That's not correct.
Okay, we're still.
Yeah.
Is she?
I trusted Sarah. I trusted you, Sarah.
Oh.
Okay, so we're at 0. They're negative 400. It's okay.
Wait, are they negative 400 or negative
Honestly,
700?
I would have said that too, but
They
just missed. They're negative 700.
negative 700. They're negative
The
7.
left is negative
well, I
700.
mean, can we fix that just so there's no?
I got it. They're negative 7. I got y'all. Y'all negative 700. I mean, we're tracking.
Can you flip it?
Chair. Just calm down, buddy.
Look, man.
Let's do it.
At least
Only cause I'm worried about is my own.
We have negative.
There you
Yeah.
go. That wasn't so hard.
What do we want?
Okay.
Is there double down? No weight class 400.
No weight classes for 400. The point system favors the super heavyweight.
Click it. What is Wilkes?
Which one?
What?
What? A or B?
The original Wilkes formula.
Yeah.
What is
Name it. Come on, don't be like.
What is
Yeah, answer.
PF points?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, you already got it wrong.
Yeah, you already got it wrong. Be quiet. You guys, do I answer? I think I'm fine. Nah, just let him lose the points.
Nobody's gonna.
Nah, I'm
it's
fine.
the Wilkes, but it's the second.
2 point.
Oh.
I didn't know that was the first. I'm gonna miss.
They redid it whenever they went to Strider.
I thought that was close enough.
Still on the climb.
Okay.
Is Australia back?
Yeah, really. No.
Yeah,
The original Wilkes also favors super heavyweights.
But it's the most. The most.
Hey, by the way, no more
Sugar
sugar
half the answers.
This is original, dude. That's even worse. That's basically 1 point.
Okay, let's do
Female.
the future is female.
Future is female 400.
Considered the strongest woman.
All right, yeah.
We put
Don't play.
not that one.
Tom Brady. It was Tom Brady.
That was.
Not
Wow,
she considered the strongest woman in the world in her era. She was the first woman inducted into the IPF Hall of Fame. Is the preeminent strength historian and researcher in the world today.
Whoa, there's a lot of. I saw a post about it.
Oh,
No, we're not.
Just go for the guess.
I don't know. You got it.
No,
You got it.
we're not messing with that.
Stan Todd
Nope. Rodrigo said
They did a post for on Facebook.
No way past me.
No way past me. It's the youngest to ever squat 400 kgs. The youngest.
That's okay. This it has to be right. Or do we want to take that?
Hey.
Do we take that chance potentially?
I think you guys license me.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's do it. Let's do it. 400 pounds. Where's Joseph Pena?
Pena, I am so sorry.
No way.
Can we do double down?
Right.
It's mathematically
double,
impossible to win.
Yeah.
Double.
Should be double. You can't make a double.
But this athlete is the only male athlete to have won both an IPF Raw and Open World Championship in the same year. I will take if you cannot.
We can't. Well, we have to give
Does
a friend
anyone
guess.
cannot stand saying his name correctly. If you were close.
Who is Charles Pogo? No.
Wait, you want to give a hint?
Double negative. Oh wait. We can't lose, so it doesn't matter.
Do you want?
No, we can win now because they got it wrong. So can we answer?
If you want to answer, yes.
All right.
What do you guys think?
Wait.
Answer.
Is it gel?
No.
Gel? No. It's wrong.
Yes.
Okay,
So
yeah,
you lose.
So we lose.
Oh.
Said the same. Well, I don't know who that is now, so I could
Well, we had
No, we definitely win. We definitely win.
It's such an embarrassment.
It's just charity, guys.
Technically,
No,
it's
no, no,
charity.
no.
If you don't have a score of at least 0, you lose.
You're serious?
In the
Okay, so
actual game,
yeah.
So it's 21.
Well,
you're just more like saying that.
Yeah. It was a battle all the way to
But we all lost.
no one won. First place.
Well,
A battle of confusion on how to win this.
No, we have to switch.
Okay, for a long time I was like, where's my phone?
I don't think they were in the same year.
Good morning, good noon, and good night.
Like 10-time champ.
You said Jeff.
Trying to see
Look at his hair.
I'm fairly sure he walked himself.
You think the next 6 are maybe a little bit easier.
First two. That's fun. That's fun.
And these.
If it was too easy though, it would have been like. So if anything, it's better to err on the side of
Apologizing.
Sarah made
No, that's fine.
Again, it's all for charity. It's all for charity.
I'm glad I could.
Daniela, come on!
I'm glad I could my composure.
It could have been worse. We could have said Steffi Cohen twice in the same game, like Rodriguez.
Should I be on my team or against me?
Alright.
You.
Feels like, but dude, I was right. It was 2017, 2018.
Don't.
Eric,
You missed it with them. You missed it.
Hey, Tim, you stand?
Yeah, they need the flames. So
They were supposed to do Lady and the Tramp with the sour sauce.
Are we doing it with smaller teams?
5 and 5.
Boy, you want to be in on this? Is it on our team?
Yeah. It looks like a bad
Oh,
time.
Chance, you want?
You really don't.
You can take my.
Oh,
there we go.
The 6-on-6.
Okay, I'll stay on this side, bro.
All right, so Michael, get over here. You've been our team.
You're good.
Wow. So,
Get those things away.
5,
Sure.
6. Okay, so Chance.
This chaotic or what?
Oh, this is okay. It's a very
Kind of reminds me.
there's some questions that are hard. Yeah. There's a couple that I thought like I thought that was charged. I was looking at her and I was like, if y'all don't get this right, but Sarah gave one of the first Raw Worlds there was.
See, I didn't even know who Sir.
You know Sergey Fedoshenko?
Well, not in that context. No, okay. Yeah.
So
I didn't know they won. Oh yeah. Didn't we lose our?
Yeah, we did.
So you're kind of going to confer with your team, decide if you need a buzz or not.
Tim, you want to be our buzzer again?
Am I on y'all's team?
Yeah, you're right.
Yo, our team's stacked.
Don't try to answer if you don't know the answer.
Can't lose.
We'll go we'll go negative.
Yeah, I'm trying to go. Trying to go 2 for 2. Let's go for.
You'll go more negative than
Except for mine.
Yes.
I carry it. So
The team buzzer.
Spot the fence.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Already know what it is.
oh, feds.
Cheers.
So I'm going to, for pop culture powders, I'm going to describe a theoretical person who you may know,
And we have to say.
and who also has some sort of connection with the wider culture of the
Okay.
First one we're gonna get was skate.
Okay.
So the first half of the game will be a
So that's what we've been doing. Like, we'll just buzz in and then we just discuss it.
famous.
Get the buzzer.
We usually discuss it.
Now, the voice.
That's cute.
I'm going to say the way to do a movement in Shakespearean language, and you have to tell me what that movement is.
You.
Next,
Sorry, got you into this.
I need you to tell me word for word what that acronym stands for.
depth.
Next.
Did you see the meme that I shared the other day?
This is
It was like the heave-ho Henrys.
about a little bit about the history of powerlifting.
Okay. Know your roots.
So difficult.
All right, and next group, this is supposed to be alliterative athletes. Alliterative. Okay, so I'm gonna give you one descriptive word, which will be a word and answer, and then I'm gonna describe an action. And the answer will have an alliterative.
I like that buzzer.
So buzzer. Get a buzzer right, y'all. Get off my back. Secret buzzer.
So for example, it might be
Cheesy
negative.
chance.
Make sense.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Okay.
We have the most solutions.
Wait.
Yes. Yeah, like
These are all regular Jeopardy categories.
buzz it again.
No, so that's the thing. The difficulty hasn't really varied with that.
Yeah, they're not sorted.
They're all hard.
Well, last week.
Go right, sweet. Our team.
We're the reigning champs.
We're the champs. We get to go first. We're
Yeah,
champs.
at least negative.
So we go first. Yeah, exactly. You're welcome, I said you're the because you're the losing team. How's it feel riding my coattails, sir?
Are you gonna be the buzzer every time? Tell you to buzz it? Tell you to buzz it?
And the same goes for the alliterative actions.
Okay.
All right. That's
Interesting.
Your phone's better.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
asking. How was it good?
It may not
Go
be
ahead, I got
here on the moment or here in the other.
But
If you
they're
look at the list.
okay. Oh, that's What's we say? It's on the win. Are we on the air right now?
You ready?
Oh,
We love baby, yeah. We love Daniel, son.
We love that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Peter.
I mean, yeah, much.
We're gonna go first with the question.
Us, because we won.
This is a different team. This is a different team.
Oh man, there's no Michael, you lost, bro. Accept it. It's okay. It's okay.
You both lost.
Everybody was negative.
Look, bro.
If you look at how much money we raised, we actually won.
Everybody won. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get a pop.
So,
Please get it. Pick an answer. Remember, you have to answer.
We'll do like pop culture powerlifters. Let's do pop culture powerlifters for 300.
All right. out Highland Games hater who prefers self-portraits to selfies. So think about the first part and then think about the second part. Highland Games hater.
Who is Matt Vincent?
Okay, what's the second part of it? Prefers self-portraits to selfies. Can I answer this question? Yes. Right. That's not the correct answer. So let's not give negative points to this if they don't understand. The correct answer is
What are we doing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
know that his is self-portrait.
Yeah, they should lose points for that.
Wait, what now?
Calm down over there. Oh wait, they need to fix the point.
Daniela Mello?
Says that you're their fifth.
This is from the land of ignorance.
Exhale.
It's so good, right? Bro, she did that. Did you put your nose? You put your nose to the cat noodles.
Sean is the most supportive.
Yeah. I think I got it now.
Okay.
You want it? Okay, let's do it. Fuck the feds.
Yeah.
Three? Yeah.
So we didn't get it?
Fuck the feds for three.
For 300. This federation was originally known as the ABFPA.
Why is your buzzer so delayed?
Who is USA?
You gotta say who is.
Okay.
If any of us should know it, was it immediately?
Yeah.
Wait. That's why I tried because
This is
All right.
I thought you had a buzzer.
Wait, what's up?
I did, but
Oh,
then
okay,
Mike
let's-
gave it to me.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was Cal.
Points for 400.
Wait, those points need to be fixed. It should be 300 to zero.
100, please.
Okay.
Dolphins
That's all safe.
for 300.
What?
In this off-putting metal cylinder, he raises both arms overhead, and extended.
They didn't
finish
the question. Oh, okay.
Extended.
What is overhead press? You suck. You got it.
With a bobbling metal cylinder, he raises both arms.
Buzz, I'm gonna say Buzz. I'm trying to figure out.
Yes, you buzzed it.
I know what it is. That thing, baby. The walker. Yeah, but what's it called?
What is a log press?
Oh.
Well, we can't answer. It's already.
It's a jerk, right?
No.
No.
So the key word for this one is bobbling, which technically means like small. So
Oh.
Oh. Ah.
That was getting us hard.
There's no way. No tricep? No way.
Can I get like half points for being close?
No way would be.
no.
That's.
One
Who did this?
I've already. You have too much of a following in this world.
Who did this?
Breathe out and breathe in.
Yes.
Chest up, Doug. Chest up, bud.
Take it.
I did.
Oh, God.
Wait, is that you? You see me crying right now.
So glad no one.
Just do it. That is actually check it in. It's for a good cause.
It's for charity.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Keep donating.
It's your mental anguish for someone else's mental health.
God, his eyes are gonna melt.
Is there another 4? Is there a 4?
Tim, we get to the point we gotta ask, bro.
Oh my god.
Scott Sterling.
His eyes are like for
Bro.
Tim,
Joey's really mad at you for thinking that.
what if it was Joey?
Yo, Tina's just sitting on the stream right now, just fucking.
Alright.
Nobody.
No one.
Okay.
What do we want?
Powerlifting acronyms for 300. Yeah. Powerlifting acronyms.
Yeah, but I have to do word for word.
Do you know? No.
Well, someone's there asking. It is.
All right, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds.
I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's right. Though.
Yeah, it probably is.
You have it, but it's not finished.
Administration and management.
The manager. So we still we still have been wrong. So it's okay.
Those of you who don't, you have to fill it out.
Yeah.
It's a whereabouts form.
Yeah.
So you want to do acronyms again? Yeah. Let's do powerlifting acronyms for 200.
All right. VGA.
Is this us or them?
Ingrid, you know the answer. Come on, guys.
You said you come on and you know what? Did you say come on? That's down.
I don't want to show it.
Thank you, Shot.
These are kind of hard.
I have faith in y'all. Anybody?
I mean, that sounds right to me.
We have it roughly, but
The captain. Just do it. We're not.
what?
They buzz.
I buzzed it. Okay.
Hey, don't forget to answer.
What is International Weightlifting Global Association?
No.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Leave it.
Yeah, just leave it.
What is National World Games?
Oh,
You said the game. I was like, yeah. No, that's what I said.
I didn't know you said games. I didn't know you said.
We just weren't sure.
No.
We had it.
We just want to be
We're not politicians. What is the score right now?
Yeah, because it's very.
No.
Just if you like.
Oh, it doesn't change.
They up or you're right.
I think we're.
Isn't it like?
I think we're equal now. That's the thing. I think we're both.
No, we're not playing without a score.
Yeah, we
no shot.
I think.
Really gets me nervous.
Maybe the macros. Macros are in our
Okay, so now we are.
But the board's back.
I was expecting her to.
You just got. Okay, that one's gone.
They got that one wrong. Oh no, you didn't score them for that.
And 200.
And 200.
They got that one wrong. So they're minus
That's all we did.
100.
I think that's it.
But it's
No, because we got the 300.
to 5. No, because they got one wrong.
Yeah,
They're really trying to get this score.
But they got
200
no, I
wrong,
think that's
300
right.
right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yep,
Yeah.
That's us.
That's right. Okay. Nervous for 300.
Know your roots for 300.
300.
Oh my god.
Since its inception in 1981, powerlifting has been included in this international event.
They both. You got ready for this?
A powerlifter can compete in.
What are the World Games?
Yeah.
In real Jeopardy, you're losing some different questions.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you
This, the game is timing Trebek's voice. Promise. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You do. Pick an easy one.
Street certified. Let's go know your roots for 100.
Okay. There's a team called powerlifting. This odd name was given to the squatters.
Sorry, I'm reactive. I'm sorry, I'm an athlete. Let's go.
Deadlift.
No.
What are the odd lifts?
And then we're interrupts.
No. It's gotta be Tina and Joe. It's gotta be Tina and Joe.
That's big. Should have put back that look.
My nose hurts.
Bro, if
I keep getting the second one out.
yo, Tim, if you go to the hospital, you can like get free water. I'm pretty sure. It's gotta be.
I love
Because it's, who does it? Can I ask?
It's anonymous.
Who are the other three? Who are the other three though? Tell them I'm going to kill you. That's not on stream.
Let's go. Let us go with Know Your Roots for 200, please.
All right. This event was first held in 1977. Pitted champion weightlifters, bodybuilders, rowers, powerlifters, and even football players against one another.
Oh.
Just
Super
think.
popular.
Just think.
Why am I drawing a plane?
What is World's Strongest Man?
Nice.
I got more cracks.
Change on us, man. This is fair.
Danny, you can stand it anyway.
So why do you say anything?
Pick it first.
100.
I thought this was like specific.
May we have culture powerlifters for 100?
This powerlifter owns the strength athlete and writes psychic.
I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna.
This powerlifter owns the strength athlete and writes psychedelic children's stories.
Who's Bryce Lewis?
Yeah, but you need the.
What's
Oh, I don't know.
Would you like to answer?
No.
Oh my god.
You don't want to answer?
Well,
Wait a second.
oh, it has to do with. You have to have.
All right.
Yeah.
No answer?
What?
All right, so Alex is wrong.
We didn't.
David Spencer.
That's right.
Bryce Lewis Carroll.
Is that wait? Who wrote Alice in Wonderland? Is that it?
Yeah, Arrow. Yeah.
Oh my god!
I should have known that.
Sorry.
My childhoods are missing like a key part of it. I'm sorry, I watched other stuff. Just a second.
Oh, let's chill it.
Okay, just like these. Okay,
Sorry.
I was counting on you, you
So we.
Sorry.
Okay. May we have Know Your Roots for 400?
You may. Russian physiologist Leo
You click it?
Matveyev, who helped the USS.
We need.
Who is it?
We gotta see the question.
Physiologist Leo Matveyev, who helped the USSR win countless medals in the 60s and 70s, and is considered the modern father of this training concept.
Who is Laura Chapman?
The modern training concept. You all do it.
Yes. I can't imagine.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, go for it. What is periodization?
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat.
Why are you?
Hey, we're up there. Hey, we're up.
Do we want to do? Do we?
Yeah,
Or do we want to? Or do we want to do that? They're not gonna get the. So you might as well get yourself.
Yeah,
We'll do it. Let me get in.
No. It's gonna be answer gonna be 2 words, and they both start with the same letter.
Sure, let's do alliterative athletes for 200.
All right.
I was gonna say it works.
200. An angry, strong friend.
Who is Mad Meg?
Meg Schwartz. Meg Gavin.
France.
Who is Mad Meg?
Here we go.
Who's watching to the
Come on.
I'm
still in it.
You guys have control for it.
Hey guys, you want to do pop culture?
Pop culture for 200.
All right. Mr. Over everything and Solu's green best friend.
What?
Oh.
Who is Jason Mike Wazowski?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. No Disney. No shame.
Girl. Okay. Okay. Let's
do it again.
We're gonna do pop culture for 400.
And most earned.
Oh my
God.
Yeah, I'm married. I don't know that second one.
Recent news just happened.
I know. Who is Ian Bellathorne?
Yeah. I'm so glad I Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I can't. If I knew I couldn't answer. If I knew I couldn't answer.
Pop culture for 500.
For 500. Submax training really works for this quarterback of the Chicago Bears.
I don't want to know about the word. It's football, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who the quarterback is. Chicago.
No, we.
No one cares. Yeah, exactly. What are sports? I'm like Chicago Bears. Or any relevant team.
Anybody?
No.
No. Nobody. Who's
Chance.
Oh, I should have fucking guessed.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Okay. The jet.
What's the question? What's the question?
The question was
Submax.
Oh,
that's Chance.
I knew Chance. I just couldn't remember Trubinsky.
Yeah, I didn't. They're still doing it. Sorry.
Fuck the
Really
feds.
Okay. Yeah.
Fuck the feds for 2.
RPS stand for this.
Revolution Powerlifting Systems.
Right. Bro.
What?
Well, this is only 2.
Revolution.
No, who cares?
Revolution.
There's no way. It's such the worst, man.
I said systems, not syndicate.
Yeah.
Self control.
It's okay. We want that. That was lame.
You do you want to do acronyms for 100?
May we have acronyms for 100, please?
Yeah. DPP.
What is general physical preparedness?
I knew that. I'm just a little.
Yo.
Like, I'm having
I know. I was
Sparking in my brain.
Doth the even hoist for 200.
You guys get to feel some retribution.
Panties for
Why you face?
Shouldn't we get
Probably should. So, yeah.
I feel like it's only right.
My lack of.
Wait, so
I bestow it upon you. Hey, you gotta sniff it though. You really gotta sniff it. Give it a good shake, Tim. Make her feel it.
I want to hear the inhale.
Eat a crystal.
Hey. And let this be a lesson of karma.
She just closed it.
That felt really good.
I'll say revenge is flawless. Sorry, so is it,
Right. So you guys had Doth the even voice for 200.
correct.
And this is something while you base yourself in a ditch split stance.
What is a? Sorry. What is a split squat?
What is a lunge?
It's a lunge.
Yes.
It's a lunge.
Yes.
Why am I so?
It's hard English, okay?
Lunge wasn't coming in my
All right,
brain.
you guys have control.
Maybe you need some.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. That's ammonia.
Got the even hoist for 100.
Okay. Runner feedeth the hoist metal cylinder from the dig grind with slight bendeth in the hand.
Metal cylinder.
What do you think metal cylinders?
I don't know. I mean, the last one was a dumbbell, so this could be anything.
True.
Well, it's a small.
Yeah, it's a
small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this? Stiff like a debit? Okay.
Because
different exercises. We know that.
Oh.
Those are two different exercises.
It says you fix off from the floor. You do RDLs hanging.
It's
true.
Exactly, yes.
Now we're hanging in the wind. The BS answers. Cheese and rice.
I'll give it to them. Oh. Okay.
Our turn. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the even voice for 400.
Yeah, Doc even hoist for 400.
Are being fair for anything.
This lift with hand of wide metal cylinder from dig grind to overhead in one festinate motion.
What is a fetch?
Lifting.
400.
Control work.
Kind of bad.
So this stuff.
Yeah, doth even voice.
This lift with back and front bench and metal cylinder on hips, the did thrust buckles in upward motion.
What
is it?
That sucks.
Okay.
And we quit.
Wait, take a Wait.
When you go get a new you can't hold it. Okay.
I have nothing to do with it.
No, that's correct. That's right.
Those points are correct.
That's correct. Yeah.
Can answer.
So I
Oh.
know your roots for 500, please.
I said in 1832, this powerful product, now widely used by strength athletes, would not become commercially available until 1993.
What is caffeine?
What is pre-workout?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah, I got 30.
You gotta whisper.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
I just mouthed it.
Oh, say
I didn't say.
It's your pizza man.
Hey.
Sorry.
Towards me for a second. I was like,
Anonymous.
Is that the camera?
Says it's to wake you up.
Oh.
No.
I have no
All right, you guys.
You alright?
Yeah.
On the board.
I know, but I was mouthing before they said it. That's why it was my
Okay.
fault. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You can answer, please.
Go Phil.
May we have F the feds for 100?
The head of this federation is Steve Dempsey.
We had that first.
What is USC?
No, we didn't. We did have this first.
Strong anyways.
Steve Dennison. What? No, the head of the federation.
Yes, sorry. Oh, wait.
What is?
We got it right. We got it right.
Yeah.
What
What is USPA?
Fine.
No, I said what is
No, what is USPA?
Oh.
We definitely buzzed it first.
Cool.
They-
I was
No.
confused. I was like, no.
Here's my buzzer. They sound the same.
Wait, took it.
Alliterative athletes for 300.
A non-active.
Oh.
Oh.
You clicked it.
Oh. What? You said.
That.
That sounds like that. Okay.
You busted, dude.
Oh, so you gotta get this answer.
Go.
No, we all know it.
What's the first word?
Oh. Sleepy Sean Noriega.
Who is sedentary, Sean?
There you
go.
You have no sedentary.
Sedentary, not active. Sedentary.
Okay, I get that category now. I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
To maybe tell your friends and followers that we are one cheeky donation away from $5,000.
Donate $69.
I want to do a flip.
Which
Can you do backflip?
which one?
Do it right now.
Wait, no.
Let's be 100 right now. Time is about to run out. Number one. Number two, you all have disposable income. Clearly, you can chill right now because you're watching this. Now, there's some people out there that can be doing. How much we need? Somebody wants to put in on that 69. You know what it is. So who's going to be it? Who's going to, you know what? How about this? You give me $69. We're all going to take hits. Know what I'm saying? That's how we're doing this. It don't even matter. We're trying to get 5 stacks. 5 stacks to help some people. If all I got to do is breathe in some steam, I'm good with that. Everyone takes the hits. $69. Where's your money at? Interesting. You want to hit $5,000, or we gonna sit here and chill? What you want to do? Okay, then we're here to raise money, not protect our nostrils.
they're looking. Oh, do you check? Not yet.
Alliterative for 400.
All right.
Dark scores and stuff.
So let's
No, we were sure.
dim.
Truthful Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, when all the answers, the teammate.
Hey.
Well,
we gotta get these high point ones just out of here now.
500.
Close for 500. A tentative 4 times body weight female dumpster.
We're in the win right now. You gotta say something. Hesitant Heather.
What
is it?
Okay.
What was the answer? Oh yeah.
That's good.
Will Brookman donated $69.
Let's go. Willie B. Willie B, my man. Willie B, my man with the $69. Good looking out, baby. You know what I mean? You could have been using that on food, maybe some new shoes, maybe some knee wraps, knee sleeves, but you chose to give us $69. We're about to take this hit for you, brother.
Peace. You got this, Danny.
God.
Get around like
Yeah. Tim's already crying, so it doesn't even matter. You don't even have.
What is this? My 5th? My 6th?
You're remembering.
He's a mule. He's a mule.
It was already.
Now do that another 4 times, Marcella.
Tina said that you two have to take it too.
Okay. Alright, you gotta say good.
Tina doesn't make that decision, Tim.
I'm just reading the chat right now.
No cap.
Oh, push that in.
Yeah, that's. Oh, yeah. Let me get that.
Oh, God.
Do it for her. Do it for her.
I got you.
She's never gonna bend my Make her do it. No.
Yeah, it wasn't it.
Take the hit, Jazz.
Chris, you might get punched in the face.
Got me?
Oh, that hurt my right nostril. Yeah, it was bad. Like, oh.
You want to deadlift now?
You better stick your mom else there. You got us into this mess.
Hey, we did that. Hey, was it working?
Yeah, work.
He's like, absolutely.
Do you
There's some work. There's so much wrong with this.
Ben, come on, Ben.
You are so scary.
Strips.
Them two are immune. He was just like,
Oh, let's go, Ben.
like he's stop.
You gotta do it.
You don't get to play this game all night.
If you just in here.
Make her do it. Make her do it. Come on, Trebek.
You
Trash.
okay, here to inhale.
And people do this for fun.
You can. I'm not saying help people come in with money.
I agree to it.
I agree to it. I'm so concerned for that this is.
No, I put it in chat. I put it in chat. Do it.
Oh, whatever it gets me like, I'm like.
I put it in chat that I would do it.
Oh.
See, now Tim's kind of like, you know what? I've never actually felt this.
It was really funny if everybody donated person to keep getting bombed. You just happen to have those countries.
I've never streamed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I get for.
I have never streamed it again.
I mean, yeah, you are big.
I did it to myself.
So we do acting.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, it's like they got the last one, right? Okay. Okay.
Here, see y'all in Vegas this year and next year and the year after that.
What is USAPL?
Yep.
What is the IPL?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, in 2014.
IPL World.
It's USP. Yeah, at the Golden Nugget. Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of how we have.
Wait, let's count up some. What is that? 1,500? Okay, we can't.
No. Yeah, let's do mess up. Let's do it.
Yeah, fuck the best 500.
Yeah. So let's save our answers unless we know for sure. Otherwise, we just win.
Federation excludes what? Like,
Yeah, I don't.
Squat. What is squat?
What is locked? What is that?
no leader.
Oh.
Oh.
All right, powerlifting acronyms or alliterative acronyms.
Alliterative. Oh no.
Oh, that's theirs.
So used to winning.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I do. For 400.
World Association of Bench.
What
is World Association of Bench Press and Dribbler?
Give it to us.
You get not in time.
You can give it
You
to
just
him.
it.
You gave it.
Let me see the answer. Let's see how close it is.
We can give it to him.
Oh.
She coming in close for y'all.
You would have gave that to them in a second.
It's
true.
Coming in clutch for y'all. Okay.
We just can't answer the 5.
Right.
It just benefits us not.
Acronyms.
All right. Yes.
Good luck with it. Good luck with that.
Don't know.
AGG.
No.
Okay. Even. That's game. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do this last one.
A hairless or
Who is hairless handy?
Yeah. Hairless handy.
Handy.
Wait.
All right.
Hey, good job, bro.
Hey, good game, guys. Good game.
Now we actually won. Now we actually won.
So,
There's more.
Should we at least get more than $5,000? Okay, that's fine.
Then there was random $5 donations for no reason.
Well, are we still going? Are we still live?
Oh, God.
oh.
Well, still make it through 100 for something to breathe it for 10 seconds.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh, they'll try and 200. Yeah.
300 for him.
You might have just rolled it underneath. I gotta have your sneeze.
Like, in the microphone, it's like ASMR.
So it's another 2?
Yeah, it's another 2.
Oh god. Well, good luck, Tim.
Have fun.
I'm like borderline double digits with this guy. Wait, is that your mask or is that my mask? I mean, mine's on my page. So. Yeah, watch. I'm gonna actually use it now.
Are we back camera? Live on the back.
Ben, which camera are we on?
I thought this is.
I didn't ever get confirmation.
Okay. Thank you for the additional donation for 2 additions to this.
That's a good one. Good one.
Well,
I'm
hi
gonna
guys.
need a couple seconds after
It
that.
is
That was-
appropriate that I'm back with you right now, finishing out this evening. It's 11:50 p.m. over here. We've been pretty good on schedule. I think we started having some fun with Family Feud and Jeopardy, and things just kind of ran over in the night. But man, I really, really appreciate you guys going through with us all the way to the end. We had a great stretch for the second half of today. We passed my reach goal for today of $5,000. This is unbelievable. So we're going to go home. We're going to clean up a little bit. We're going to prepare for tomorrow, unless someone wants to challenge Ross Lepela with $200 to sniff ammonia for 10 seconds. I'm sure it'd be more fun to do that tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning too. So we can extend this to tomorrow morning as well. Please take a look at the schedule, by the way, for tomorrow. You can type the exclamation schedule in the chat to see what's coming up tomorrow. I would say of all the days, we have everyone who decided to come out to lift together will be here tomorrow. The lifting, I think, will be the highest caliber tomorrow, just in terms of what people have kind of verbally committed to us that they're going to do. So we're going to see some absolutely incredible lifts. I know we have a max deadlift event tomorrow night. We have a squat exhibition with Dave Ricks. We just saw him come in a little bit earlier as well. He was on some of the Family Feud. And what else? We have a bench press exhibition as well. So kind of like just each lift gets its own highlight, and we'll give these athletes some time to warm up before and really show you guys something special. So tonight, I really hope you guys enjoyed the fun and games. It was a blast for me to moderate the powerlifting programming roundtable. I thought there was some really good discussion on that and some great ideas that got bounced back and forth. Actually, I see Ben Rice next to me right here. You want to throw on your headset and chill with me for a bit?
This mic works. I think it's not been working the whole time. I'll be close to you so that I can.
Okay.
I can share for that.
Oh, well, it's unplugged, so that's a.
That'd be why.
Oh no, it's plugged in. It's on.
It hasn't worked all day.
Okay, put it in for a sec. Oh, that's why. It should be this one. Nope. Yeah, okay.
Check 1 2.
Wait. All right, start talking.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check check check. Hey Tim, is that the camera down there?
This is both the camera down there and your headphones.
Oh.
Together, so it should be okay.
Okay.
Let's see if they hear us. Yeah, there he is.
Hey friends.
Let's go over a bit. Wow. So there was some amazing stuff today.
Yeah.
Mr. Ben Rice here pulled 800 pounds even, 765. I mean, not just 800 pounds. He pulled 800 pounds with a sumo deadlifter helping, or a sumo wrestler.
He was just picking me up, I think. I just had to hold on to it, but not really, because straps.
Yeah. Because chat donated to give you those big weight straps.
Yeah.
I was forced to squat 765. Thanks for some amazing donations from the chat there.
Yeah.
And what else did we see? We saw Tim take 675 on a deadlift.
A suited deadlift. We saw Sean Noriega bench press 545 to a one board. We saw Chance Mitchell go over 500 with, I believe, a one board as well. Maybe a two board. But it was, honestly, I think that the single ply lifting segment was one of the more impressive in terms of athletes doing things we didn't really expect to see. I don't know what did you plan to have 765 pounds on your back today?
I did not. I literally planned to kind of mess around in like the low 600s.
Yeah.
And they're like, you want to add another 45 on each side?
Because that's apparently the only jumps you take when you go.
Yeah.
quick
Oh,
lifting.
only plates. That's because you have to wrap your knees so many. You have to limit the amount of warm-ups you do to do the
Right,
do the
right.
plate loading, right, Nat? Yep.
So I kept telling Joe Capolino, like, chill out with the reps. And
He wanted to hurt you.
He kept saying, I'm sorry, I know this is tighter, I can't help it. So guys, we were going to clean up. The reason we didn't donate to the NAACP today was because there was a problem on the back end with Tiltify's linking with that specific charity and either PayPal or Amazon Pay or even credit card payments, to be honest. So we're going to stay with the AFSP until we can get that figured out. We've been back and forth with Tiltify as well, so we're going to check in with them and see if we can get that sorted. We truly do want to raise money for both charities, so currently everything is going to the AFSP, which we're not sad about, but we did want this to be a joint fundraising effort, so we're going to do our best to make sure that we can get that to happen. At least have Saturday and Sunday be devoted to the NAACP. So please follow us as we start tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Again, a combination of some fun events, some roundtable discussions, and some amazing lifting from tomorrow, our biggest of the 4 days.
Yeah, and remember that if you are curious about what events are going on when, you can always go into the chat. Whether or not we are live, type in !schedule. Also remember that you can type !auctions, and that will take you to this command. We have 4 auctions going on eBay right now that are also going to be contributing to the charity fundraising. Those things are a trap bar deadlift, a power bar, a Cadillac bar, and a Mac Pro unit.
Mark Pro.
Mark Pro. I'm sorry, my eyes are getting.
A Mac Pro is cool too. We don't have one of those
Mark
right
Pro.
now.
Mark Pro is even cooler than a Mac Pro. Take that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about those. We had 4 bars come in from Kabuki Strength that we are using during the charity. And if you'd like, we'll even sign those before we send them off to you. We'll have as many of our pro athletes here sign those bars before we send them off to you. I think they're a really good deal. You have to imagine not a whole lot of people are bidding on those. So please keep an eye on those. And I have a feeling you're going to walk away with something really, really special for way lower than this price.
And Steph did mention one of the things that's happening tomorrow is I'm going to be doing my minute total during the mock meet segment before, and so that'll be fun. Trying to total 800 kilos in under 60 seconds, which the total is not as crazy as doing it within the parameters required to have it done in under a minute. So that'll be fun after an 800-pound deadlift today. Anything else that you want to say before we?
No, I think that's it. Guys, thank you so much. We reached an amazing goal today, and we'll be back with you first thing in the morning.
Have a great night, friends. We'll talk to you very soon.
The NAACP. On February 12, 1909, what is now the nation's oldest and largest grassroots civil rights organization, was formed. The NAACP, which stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, has been a driving force in fighting race-based discrimination in the United States since its founding. In 1909, racial injustices were common. Segregation was legal in many parts of the United States. Employment discrimination was common, and voting rights were often denied. People of color across the country had to live with the fear of racial violence and lynching. And so, the NAACP was formed, built on the